with the building and also with service to the community. So with that, if my commission is okay with it, I believe, it's just my view, that if your name is on the building, that you should have the honor of opening the first meeting in the building. So if you would allow, I'd invite former Mayor Hathaway.
I'm not sure that this is an official meeting with a former official calling this thing to order, but since the mayor has allowed me to come up here and do so with the concurrence of the commission, I guess I can do this. We'll call the regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, August the 10th, 2021 to order. Please silence all cell phones. The invocation will be given by Chaplain Sheila Turner. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
May God, the Father of goodness, who commanded us to help one another as brothers and sisters, bless this building with his presence and look kindly on all who enter here. O God, in your wise providence, you are glad to bless all human labor, the work of our hands and of our minds. Grant that all who plan and conduct business in this office may, through your wisdom, guidance, and support, come to the right decisions and carry them out fairly. We ask this in Christ Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you had some comments, I welcome you to make them now if you had anything you want to say.
Let me just say, first off, to the City Commission and Mayor, thank you so much for this privilege tonight. Thank you, citizens of New Smyrna Beach, who paid the taxes for this beautiful building that we're now enjoying. Thank my wonderful wife, Paula, and my son, Brian, for being here tonight. Appreciate it, both of you. I look around the room, see so many familiar faces, and there are days I miss, obviously, being here on this dais, but I got to admit, there are days I don't miss. I don't miss some of the irritated individuals who had a right to be irritated that we had to deal with, and it is what it is. That's part of government. That's part of our democracy, and I'm glad to see that it really works, and it's working so very well in this community. I'm glad to see that, you know, we do have growth. I can remember back in many years back when people were begging us to bring some growth to the community because their children were having to leave New Smyrna Beach to go elsewhere to find a job. And then we have a lot of the folks that came here to retire in New Smyrna Beach and said, oh, please stop the growth, please stop the growth. Well, growth is going to always occur. We all have to learn to adapt and at least try to do what we are doing best here in New Smyrna Beach by, one, preserving this great old building and redoing it in the greatest manner. Man, it was funny. I heard some people say earlier that there'll be some prayers given in this building. Well, there'll probably be some swear words too. But remember, you're in a former church, so be careful. But no, I just want to say thanks to all the staff members, and of course, Colin. Colin had to tell us from the get-go, and Pam Brancasio was the city manager here, and we decided to go this route through the commission's vote to do this. Colin said, man, it's going to cost a lot of money. And he said it'd be probably cheaper to take it down than to rehash it, rehabilitate it. And I told Colin, I said, well, this is our history. We need to save our history and do what we can to preserve it. The other option was, the commission was looking at building an all-glass building just to the south of the existing city hall. And I saw those, when I took office as mayor, I saw those plans and I said, that's just not going to fly for New Smyrna Beach. And I'm so glad that my fellow commissioners had the right sense to say, yeah, let's move forward with taking this, buying this church building and doing what we did and doing what y'all did. Appreciate everything you've done. All the staff members that are here, all the people that helped make this a positive situation. I'm so very grateful. Thank you, Mayor.
So, Mayor, before you go, the gavel he just used, we've got a gavel and a base here. This gavel was made out of wood that was reclaimed from this very chamber. As they were constructing it, we saved some beams and some wood and worked with the local craftsmen, and they made this gavel, and they made this base also out of the same wood, the reclaimed wood. And I had two of them made, so that base and another gavel I have are going to stay with this chamber for all future commissions. But on behalf of this commission and the city staff, we wanted you to have this gavel for your family. I gotta have that. No, you get all this. You get this. This is yours. Yeah. All right. Where's yours? I got it right here.
Oh, okay.
In my back. I got it right here. Here's mine. Okay. And Kelly, I think we moved past roll, so if you just call the roll for us real quick officially.
Mayor Owen,
Present.
Vice Mayor Sachs,
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Commissioner McGurk. Here. Commissioner Clody.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. City Attorney, you're satisfied we have officially called the meeting to order? No concerns on that? All right. Those of you that joined us for the ribbon cutting and the ceremony, thank you for being here. We appreciate the honor of serving you all, and thank you for joining to commemorate this fantastic day with us. And now it's just a meeting. all the festivities are over. Now we got to conduct business. So, first item up, approval of the agenda. Colin, I can't see you down there. There you are. Any changes to the published agenda today?
No changes, sir.
All right. Kelly, can I get a pen when you have a chance? I forgot and all the hoopla, I forgot my pen. We have no announcements, presentations. I think we've had quite enough of that so far. Public participation is the next item up. We always love to hear from the public. This is your chance to address the commission on any item you would like. If you want to speak to any item under item 8A, second readings and public hearing, or actually even 7A, the code enforcement, you can speak to those items at that time. So this is really just for anything under the consent agenda or first readings or boards and commissions or anything else that's on your mind. If you just come right to this podium, you'll have 3 minutes, and if you'd give your name and address as you begin. Just come right up.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, and New Smyrna Beach residents. I'm Megan Paratori of 371 Freeman Street. I am pleading with you for your approval of Environmental Evaluation Agenda 6W as a step towards saving residents' health, well-being, and quality of life. Industrial activities at 1050 Fremont Street have destroyed our once peaceful neighborhood. It's like an abscess in the middle of a residential neighborhood. We are subjected to constant penetrating noise from processing equipment, mobile material handling vehicles, and pollution-emitting diesel trucks. The front-end loaders sustain beeping, the explosive thudding of concrete rubble being dumped and pounded, the rumble of machinery, and teeth-on-edge sounds of concrete scraping on metal penetrate the sanctuary of our properties and reverberate in every nook of our homes. Stressful, unrelating industrial noises are damaging to hearing, general well-being, and quality of life. This torturous noise pollution extends well beyond our immediate neighborhood. Commissioner Collodi acknowledges that the racket can be heard on New Simona Beach Golf Club course. Thank you. It's like living in a permanent demolition site without safety precautions outlined by OSHA. Depending on the wind direction, visible dust clouds of hazardous particulates drift to surrounding neighbors. We often smell invisible particulates like concrete aggregate, asphalt, and running-rich diesel. Concrete crushing produces airborne particulates that contain crystalline silica, a human carcinogen that causes a lung condition known as silicosis and can contain additional airborne toxins like asbestos, fiberglass, lime, Portland cement. This visible and invisible particulate matter is linked to other serious health conditions, including reduced lung development in children, higher rates of asthma, bronchitis, heart disease, and cancer. Of note is Sacred Heart School is a block away. A person's home is supposed to be their sanctuary. People work hard, making enormous sacrifices to afford a home. In our retirement, our home is under assault. We cannot enjoy any indoor or outdoor benefits of being property owners. This is not a great selling point for our community or a safe, healthy environment. We are at our wits' end. How much longer do residents have to endure this torturous onslaught and threat to our health? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I'm upset.
It's okay. Any others for public participation? Yes, sir, come right in.
Okay, good evening. My name is Anthony J. Paratori. I live at 371 Freeman Street, New Smyrna Beach. Thank you, Mayor Owen, Vice Mayor Sachs, Commissioners McGurk, Collodi, and Hartman. Please approve agenda number 6W for authorization of the environmental survey for activities at 1050 Fremont Street, New Smyrna Beach. I will now read an email that I have written to all of you, and it goes as such. The quiet has been removed from the land. Each day brings excessive noise pollution, dust, exhaust from front loaders, heavy excavators, dump trucks dumping loads of concrete, and a huge concrete crushing machine. All these items create overwhelming noise and particulates into our residential neighborhood. The construction crews, who work the site continue to disregard regulations. They don't use water to lessen or create the dust that flies about. Depending on the day where the wind blows, these waves of dust leave the yard consistently. I have depressed hearing. I should wear hearing aids, but I cannot, because the noise is so overwhelming when I have my hearing aids in. I challenge any of you to come and stay with us for a day from 7 a.m. to 5:30 in the evening and see how you would enjoy living in our neighborhood. All of this has lowered our property values and has turned our peaceful place into a noise hellhole. I have given Mr. Fields, Brian Fields, a flash drive with photographic evidence and video of the documentation of conditions that we have been subjected to since this has begun. I would like to offer another sanitized flash drive to be given to the city of New Smyrna Beach to be put into public record. Can I do that?
Sure.
And I thank you for your consideration. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Others for public participation? Yes, Michelle.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Michelle Valance, Capital Projects Manager for the city, but also a resident here in our beautiful city. I know this is slightly out of the ordinary and completely unplanned, but I'm honored to have been a part of this project, and I want everybody to know that I couldn't have done it without my leader, and that's Khalid Rashadat. So I just want to go publicly on record that I couldn't have done this without him the whole way through, and just want to make sure everybody realizes that we have a great leader, that a lot of things go unnoticed. So it was an honor, and thank you.
Well said, and I think there's a lot of credit to be given today, and I know my colleagues will probably speak during commission comments about the great work. So, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Khalid. Yes, ma'am.
I'm here. I'm across the street from.
Okay. Come right ahead.
Hi, I'm across the street from the construction stuff.
Okay.
My
Can you
name
give
is
me-
Michelle Flores. I'm at 307 Freeman Street.
Okay.
I just have a few notes because I'm not really
Sure.
good at this. And one, I'm worried about the stress, my health. I can't open up my windows. I can't open up my front door, and I don't even sit outside anymore for, as soon as they start their business, I have to go inside. And I only have one day that they don't work over there is my day that I work. And, well, the stress of that, of hearing that over and over all day long, the minute I get up in the morning, it seems like they start making noise over there. And the dust, so I don't open up my windows because of the dust and because of the noise over there. And I've had to plant many plants trying just to camouflage it, so I don't have to look at it, but it just keeps getting larger and larger, and there's nothing I can't grow that's going to camouflage that. And I'm worried that it is going to get larger and larger and then become a huge business over there, and then that's it. And I really am thinking about, trying to sell my house now. And this was my grandparents' house that they built, and I bought it from them. And it was very quiet. I enjoyed my neighborhood. Okay, I think I...
Covered it all. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for sharing this. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't prepare anything formally, but I do like to talk. My name's Deborah Crane, and I actually live directly across the street from there, the construction site. And I literally don't even wash my car anymore because it doesn't do me any good. I can wash it, and when I come back, it's dust again. So I'm constantly hearing the noise all day long. I work from home now, obviously, because of COVID. And so I hear it more than I normally would hear it. But I hear it all day and all night, from sunup to sunset. They have their equipment going. They have the dust is always there. I am actually a cancer survivor, so hopefully it's not going to be detrimental to me in the future. I don't know that. I do know that what's coming out of there is hazardous, and not only that, they now have a side where they're actually putting RVs and boats and so forth on the property itself. Now, I don't know if that's something that is normally supposed to be there or not, but that's what they're doing now. So in addition to the noise and the pollution and so on and so forth, they now have that going on. So I don't know what's going on with that. The other, now I'm going to bring something up totally separate from that issue, is our road. In addition to the dust that we get from that particular property, we also have a road that's dust. I mean, our road is not paved. I mean, this is 2021 and we don't have a paved road. I just don't understand that. So if you could kindly put that on somebody's agenda, I would love to speak about that. That, in addition to the across the street, my car is filthy all the time. You know, I am a gardener and I have plants all over the place, and it's not healthy for them. I have 2 animals, 2 dogs. It's not healthy for them as well. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, as if you could do something about the road too, that would help. So that's about it.
Okay.
Since I didn't do any formal presentation, thank you for listening to me.
You did well. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name's Terry Cooper, 1014 Turnbull Street. I'm right directly behind the lady who was just here.
Okay.
I totally agree with everything she said, plus the fact that I have a 7-foot-high concrete wall behind my house that Bailey Ziegler actually put up. It doesn't help the dust, doesn't help the noise, nothing. And these guys are wanting an easement to put up a fence 8 foot high. For what? It's not going to do anything. Dust is going to go over it. Sound is going to go through it and over it. It's not going to help a damn thing. Nothing. Nothing at all. The only thing that's going to help if they move out. They were kicked out of Edgewater, period. Why are they here? Number one, Bailey Ziegler was there. They were a precast concrete company. They made precast concrete pieces for parks, public use, and private use. They did not crush concrete. Henceforth, the grandfather-in-law does not apply here. That does not apply. This company has been on these premises on a leased part of it for 2 years, a little over 2 years. They are not grandfathered in. Bailey Ziegler was grandfathered in. They've been there a numerous amount of years. This concrete crushing plant, Hazen or Volusia County Crushing, whatever you want to call it, I don't know of any ordinance that I've ever seen that allowed them there. The noise pollution, the dust, everything else they do. There's no fence around the facility to keep kids from playing in it. It's open to the railroad side. It's supposed to have a fence around it, let alone the dust and noise. They're not grandfathered in. There is no ordinance that I know of that I've seen that has allowed them there to crush concrete and make all this noise pollution and air pollution. And I just told Jason before the meeting, I'll be calling him about it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Clapping competition. Yes, sir.
My name is Greg Holbrook, and I live at 1160 Corbin Park Road, and I'm here to speak to you today as a member of the New Smyrna Beach Board of Realtors. I am a real estate agent who has worked with 2 families that own properties on Freeman Street. And what you're hearing today is the frustrations of city citizens that have implored upon their government to help them basically rescue their quality of life. And the end result of having those expectations drug out to the point that the frustrations are there, that everyone's just frazzled over it. And the only reason I came here to speak to you is to please ask the elected officials that sit on this panel to put some pressure on city staff to act expeditiously to cure this and resolve the quality of life issues that are being had, because of the frustration and how much it builds. And you're hearing some frustration from me as well, because I've got a records request from where I requested all the permits, approved business uses, and variances that were issued for 1050 Fremont Street, New Smyrna Beach, with a parcel ID number, so that I could take a look at what had been permitted to happen there, what the scope of work was, We all know it changed drastically from between when these people bought the property and what's happening now. But I've got an unanswered request from the 4th of February this year. And so I understand these people's frustration as they try to get clarity on if they can even stay there. And then, will they be able to actually have the benefits of the rest of our citizens that have seen astronomical property growth when they have to sell properties that aren't even really safe or healthy to live in? So I ask you to step up and please apply some pressure and help these people get some relief. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others wish to speak tonight? Public participation, going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you all for being here and sharing your concerns. You're here to speak to those items. If they're on an agenda and we bring them up, we'll speak to them then, or the commission may speak to some items at the end of the meeting under mayor and commission comments. So the next item, gentlemen, is the consent agenda. There are 36 items. It's quite a few. As we have done a few times, I think successfully, saving us perhaps a bit of time, I'm going to give you, as we come down the line, the option, if you just want to clarify for the public, say, you know, hey, I had a question on this, I asked it, staff explained it, I'm comfortable not having to pull the item to do that, just clarifying something or making a brief comment on an item, you can do that. Or if you would like to pull something, tell me the item and we will pull those. So we'll begin at the very end. Sorry, we had something from...
Yep, just
Attorney.
one announcement for the public. Item 6D, resolution number 2421 regarding the Golf Advisory Board. There was an additional revision made regarding the quorum, changing it from 3 to 4 since there's 7 residents on the board. So that has been clarified, and that's what you all will be voting on tonight.
Got it, yep. And that'll be reflective in the minutes as well. Okay, so we'll begin with Commissioner Colodi. Anything to pull or any brief comments on an item?
Well, you give me 37 choices. I have a list. For comment, 6J. (6Q).
All right, just go ahead. This is your time. So if you just want to make a comment, just go ahead
okay.
and do it, and we'll be finished.
Police Department's requesting permission to purchase 2 vehicles to act as community service aids where the activity does not warrant the use of a highly trained officer. It does 2 things. One, it presents a more forgiving face to the public for people who are generally in distress. And second of all, it frees our officers up to do what they were hired to do. So I fully support that. It's not often we get 2 things for the price of 1.
Okay.
6Q regards the existing disco golf course at Holland Park. We purchased this land. We have the duty to come up with a development plan for the whole park. We accepted money from the state of Florida, and we're supposed to have a plan. I would like to see this improvement included in that plan, and until that plan is approved, I would not like to see this course expanded.
So are you pulling that item, or are you just making that comment?
It's a comment,
Okay.
but we can pull it if anybody else has a comment, but those are my comments.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a comment on that. You want me to wait or just piggyback off his?
We're in uncharted territory. Just wait. We'll get down to it.
I'll pull it.
Yeah. All right, we'll
Solve
pull
that
an item
problem.
6Q. Yeah, if we get more than one comment, we should pull it. All right, keep going.
Okay, next. 6W. We've heard a lot about 6W. Prior to being aware that there was a problem over there, I tend to play golf at the golf course, and I heard this racket coming from somewhere else. So I took it upon myself to drive over there before hearing there was a problem, and just couldn't believe that a facility such as that was not operating at the time, was so close to a residential neighborhood. I fully support going ahead with this. I have discussed the actual contract with our deputy administrator to make sure that our code does not have specific standards that pertain to this use. The standards we have for particulates deal basically with boilers and boiler emissions. I was very pleased to hear that we do have a statement in there that the consultant will compare the results he gets for the particulates with national accepted standards. Otherwise, we would be left with a result, nothing we could do with it. So I'm familiar with those type of facilities. Silicates from concrete, when it's broken up, can be very detrimental. So this is an issue we really got to go forward with. That's just for comments.
Okay.
I have comments regarding 6Y, which is the Flagler Avenue Peninsula contract for engineering. It contains a time frame in it for how long the consultant will take to prepare the report. His time frame refers to the completion of a survey, which is necessary first, which doesn't have a time frame in it. I've been assured by our Development Services Administrator that that will be put in there before it's signed. Otherwise, with the condition of our service industries and not enough people and too much work to do, God only knows when we would ever get this project done, and we should really move along with it. So I look forward to a definitive time being placed in that contract before we sign it.
Okay.
Comments only on that one. 6Z refers to a continuing services agreement with the Utility Commission for road paving services, something I fully support. We will now be in charge of repairing our own roads and setting a timetable for it so that there are not unnecessary delays. I can remember back about 2 years ago, there was work that was done on North Peninsula where a sidewalk section was taken out, and it sat that way for months until finally we had the request that that be taken care of. Now we'll be in charge of setting that timetable up. The only comment I had on our contract with them, it has a list of the costs that would be returned to us for the service. However, it doesn't have a time limit on it, doesn't have an escalator in it, so I've asked our staff to look into that so that we're not left receiving funds for repair work that are far below what we actually spend. I'm sure that will be taken care of, so that's also for comment. 6AD, I do want to pull. That's regarding a grant request for Real Deal Film Festivals for donations from us for a new program, and I want to discuss it at that time.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Vice Mayor, anything to pull or any brief comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a long list. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. If not, please speak up. And I will try and speak up. But I have 6K to pull.
6K to pull, okay.
I have 6Q to pull.
6Q is pulled, okay.
And I have 6Y to pull.
Okay.
And 6AD to pull.
6AD to pull, okay. Got it. All right. We'll come back to you for some comments on those if that's it, if you're just going to pull those. Commissioner McGurk, anything to pull or any just brief comments on anything that hasn't already been pulled?
No, 6AD is what I wanted to pull.
Okay.
That's been pulled.
Got it, it's been pulled. Commissioner Hartman, any comments?
So I have a comment on I.
Okay.
The parking kiosk. Right after I got elected, I had the opportunity to ride with our parking ambassadors. And unfortunately for me, I picked the day that they were actually doing maintenance on these kiosks out there. So Jack has done a wonderful job with this. He saved this, I think saved the city quite a bit of money in that he took this project on his own. He does the routine maintenance on it. I was backing in and out sweeping them out, wiping down all of the solar panels, spraying contacts. So it turned into a very workful day for me, but I was appreciative that he, as an employee, took that upon himself to actually get that involved in trying to save us money from the repairs. So I certainly support this. It's going to be, it's not like we're buying these, once or twice a year and throwing them away. We do a tremendous amount of job and time and energy in keeping these things running and working in a very harsh environment. So I just want to give a big shout out there for the parking ambassadors and especially Jack for all the hard work that he's been doing on these things over the years. And I'd like to pull Y also.
Pull Y, which was pulled, okay. All right, so do I have a motion, gentlemen, to approve the consent agenda excluding, and everyone keep me honest, item 6K, 6Q, 6Y, and AD. So that'd be 32 or so items.
Second.
I would recommend pulling 6Z, just so we have formal authority for me to change the mathematical. My idea to change the pricing is to insert language that would
Okay.
describe how that pricing came up, so I just need a formal motion on that.
All right, so does the motion maker accept to exclude Z as well?
Accept the amendment.
Second?
Yes.
All right.
Accept.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll for the consent agenda.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, first item that was pulled, Jim, just going down the list, K, I believe you pulled that, Vice Mayor, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 6K, I do, of course, appreciate serving and teaching kids how to serve, but when I saw the increased budget request, I thought to myself, that's way too much money. So if anybody has any other feelings on giving them a bit less, I just can't see the justification in almost doubling the amount for the camp.
Okay. Real quick before you speak, I'm going to just shift gears just a second. For those that had joined for the Fremont discussion, we appreciate you being here. That item was just approved, so if you missed that, that did just happen. So, David, go ahead. Do you have something on this?
Yes, Commissioner Sacks. So the increase for the Jimmy Lane Surf Camp is due to the fact that our numbers have essentially skyrocketed. We're attributing that to a lot of it to COVID and parents still needing to do something with their kids. So instead of putting them in camps or things of that nature indoors, we're putting them in an outdoor camp. So all the money that we bring in, or essentially all the money that's going on this PO, we're not losing any money. The money, so we're bringing all that money in, all the registrations come through the city, and then we keep our percentage, and then the rest goes to Jimmy Lane Surf Camp.
So it's a revenue generator.
Correct.
And in theory, the city comes out net positive.
Correct.
So one of probably the few things we do like that.
Yes.
Thank you, David, for coming in to explain that. I'm glad to get your support on that and that
Okay.
it's justified.
Okay, do I have a motion on item 6K?
So move.
Second.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes, I'll support.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item 6Q, I believe it was initially pulled by Commissioner Colodi. He's already commented, though. Who else, did you want to pull that one?
Here.
Who else pulled it?
AD was.
You was yours. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, 6Q, I have a question for staff or any of my colleagues that might know. The golf course expansion, the golf course already has 18 holes.
That's correct.
So, sir, you're asking for another 9?
Another 6, sir.
Another 6?
Yes, sir.
Will those be at the actual older Holland Park or the new Turnbull Land Preserve that we just
No,
attained?
they would be within the original acquisition.
Within the original acquisition?
Holland
Yeah.
Park, yes.
If I may ask, to clarify that the disc golf course has already been through the grantor. It's already on the ECHO plan. It's already on the master plan.
In the original Holland Park, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The original park, but not
Yeah.
the new Turnbull?
Yeah, it has
No,
nothing to do with the
actually,
new.
The original 9 holes in 2018 is in Holland. We added 9 holes to make it an 18-hole course in the acquisition. Now we have identified a small triangle that we'd like to put another 6 holes on to create a alternative for additional holes to play that would separate itself from any other course in the area. I've built all 4 courses here locally, 2 for the county, 1 for the church, 1 for the city of New Smyrna Beach, under a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
And currently at this time, Holland Park is the #1 course in a 3-county area,
Let me
rated
just,
by the users.
let me just clarify if I may. So everything we're talking about, nothing is within the Turnbull purchases we've made with bond money. That would be a whole separate process we'd have to go through. We're not touching a stick on that property. This is all in the original Holland Park. Supported or not, but I just want that very clear for us and the public.
Do you derive any profits from the game?
No, sir. We are 100% volunteer, 501c3 nonprofit organization,
It's free to play. Yeah.
It is absolutely free to play.
And you're asking the city for what, approximately $3,200?
Cost not to exceed is $3,250. The club will take care of the selective clearing and grubbing, debris removal, installation of the course. We've adopted the park for about a year now, and we continue to provide monthly reports that we go in there, we clean it out. Right now, it's probably because it's shaded the last 3 or 4 months. It's the #1 most trafficked course. As well, the people that take the time to provide a review on a database of disc golf courses, they're providing reviews. The number of people that are coming in from out of town is astounding. The #1 growth segment in disc golf is basically the silver sneaker set. They can't go to silver sneakers to the gym during COVID. They came out and started playing disc golf. They're now our #1 volunteers and your #1 course users.
Yeah.
We're generating over 500 unique user visits per week in just the 3 courses that are Doris Leaper, South Glencoe, and Holland. We don't really track what's happening out there at Crossroads because it's a little further out of town. But again, Holland Park is higher rated than Daytona, which has had a course for over 30 years.
Great. And just one quick question. How did you come up with 6 holes?
As a designer, that's the space that I have that I'm looking at that connects. So you're going to come out of hole 14. You'll have the opportunity to play A through F. You'll wind up right back at 15 in a small loop if you desire to go 24. So it just provides a little more opportunity as well. I've identified it as an area where there might be some leftover debris, still some walkways for your itinerant campers. And we'd like to maybe shut that opportunity down because it is so close to the parking lot and the bathroom there.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other discussion on this item? If not, do I have a motion on item 6Q?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
We'll take a motion by Commissioner, second by the Vice Mayor. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Cloney?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Gentlemen, we thank you. We appreciate the opportunity
Thank you.
to work
Thanks.
with you in a
Thanks for
public-private
y'all's,
partnership. Thank
thanks
you.
for your volunteer efforts. All right, item 6Y. Gentlemen, I lost track of who pulled that one. I'm sorry. Did you pull?
I was one of them.
Okay, go ahead then. We'll start with you.
So I think when we were presented with this traffic study or the traffic layout, I wasn't comfortable with it at the time. I think there's a lot of questions around this concerning the existing parking, off-street parking and things like that. So before we actually commit any more money, I'd rather have a discussion probably at the workshop in September 1st, and so that we can kind of talk through this more. The intent was to use more of that property at 120 Flagler, and that wasn't actually encompassed in this design. So I think that I would feel more comfortable with it if we had a further discussion. I don't know if we want to have it at this point in time, or we prefer to do it at a workshop.
Okay.
We're basically taking all the right-of-ways away, so you're taking all the parking in front of the apartment complex there on the west side. You're taking parking away in front of the Cormeth Boutique, which is on the east side. So we're eliminating parking spaces, and we don't have a plan to address that. So I don't want to do one of these where we have these unintended consequences. So I'd rather I would prefer to talk about this at the workshop and maybe talk through some of these issues. Have the Ted bring us back some other ideas and kind of have a little better plan. I'm not crazy about this plan. So.
Okay. Other discussion on this item? Go ahead.
I think the consultant did a pretty good plan. It's a very constricted site. There's not much else that can be done there. If we had such a great concern about parking, we should have purchased the lot around the corner that the church was offering for sale. I wish we did. I should have voted for it, and I didn't. I think we should move ahead. If there's no further comments, I'll make a motion.
Let's see if there's any other discussion. Go ahead.
So I had voted no to purchase the property. I don't feel that we had a very sharp direction. We had several options. It is a valuable piece of land. Another aside is that I don't believe, and I say this in jest, that cities aren't the best realtors. But I think it'd be wonderful to flip this property, to make a small profit on it, and maybe the people can enjoy it as a restaurant or another type of concession, possibly a bed and breakfast. Because when I looked at Ted's fee of $37,000, after an expense of over $900,000, we're just getting started. We have a mast arm traffic light. We have a sewer pipe and inlet. We have a control box. We have a power line. I would also like to know the most important thing about the proposed turn lane, right turn lane, is how many cars can you actually fit in the turn lane? So after hearing Commissioner Hartman possibly wishing to table this, I don't mind kiboshing the whole thing and saying, no, I don't approve the $37,000. But I do agree that we should table discussion and not be in such a hurry. I don't want to throw good money after bad. I really would like to know how many cars you can fit in the one lot, because it appears to be only 3 or 4 cars. If it were 7, 8, 9, you might be getting a value for your money. But I'm afraid we might even open up a can of worms by creating a turn lane. Have we deeply researched this enough? Should it cost us $37,000? Kind of putting the cart before the horse.
Okay. Any comments?
Mr. Hartman, I get worried about pushing things back to workshops. We've spent a lot of workshops, we brought it before, and then we decided against it. So I have that general fear of delaying it. We purchased it. I love to, as we all do, and you do too, move projects as quickly as we can to get things done. Is there, what specifically, I'm not against, and I'm willing to give you some time, but I worry that we pack too much on the workshops, and then we do it at the workshop, and then we think we come up with a solution or tentatively, and then we stymie here on the dais. So give me an idea of what are you trying to accomplish in the workshop?
We got this as a presentation at the beginning of the meeting, and we never kind of really talked through it. I think there were a few comments, but not a lot of them. And when it was presented at the meeting, it really doesn't give us a lot of time to digest some of these things. So I think that through a workshop, we could kind of talk through some of these issues, maybe have the representative there that could give us some alternatives, and see what truly would be a better plan.
So I understand where we kind of, what has been left open is what we're doing with the house. But is the turn, we're going to put a turn lane there. That's why we acquired the property. I mean,
Right.
Is this design going forward with a turn lane going to, in other words, what are we giving up by going forward with that as opposed to, I mean, we need to make a decision on the house, but do we need to slow down on developing that intersection in the turn lane to do that? Is that?
No, I think that there's some unintended consequences here when we're losing parking spaces. You know, the apartment, that's the only parking spaces that those apartment people have. They're going to be, we'll have 15 of them coming here at the next meeting going, You've taken away all of our parking. You know, where are we going to park now? So I just want to talk it through. You want to talk it through tonight? I'd be happy to talk
So
it
your
through tonight.
concern is the concept 2 intersection,
Yes.
not the specific intersection of concept 3, which is the northwest corner of that intersection. You're talking about what would affect the area in front of that.
I'm talking about all of them, because the right-hand turn lane is simply taking the right-of-way and making a right-hand turn lane. When I asked about maybe making a longer sweeping thing, the comment was there wasn't enough acceleration, a long enough acceleration lane before they got to the bridge. You know, can we do a simple turn lane with a stop sign rather than, you know, merge? So that, I mean, I had some questions for the consultant that I'd just like to have an opportunity to talk to him about. See what else is out there. If you want to approve it tonight, I don't have a problem with approving this. Just put the project on hold until we at least can talk about it at the workshop.
Well,
so
that would be,
yes.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
You know.
I agree with you. I don't want to.
Do we have a specific workshop date planned that you would put it on?
We have a workshop on September 1st where we're going to talk about what to do with the building that's sitting on 120. So to me, that would be a good time to talk about the entire plan for that whole corner.
Yeah. Let me come to Commissioner Clody real quick, and then I'll come to you, Kyle. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about how we really don't know what we're doing here, but I do want to point out that, as it clearly states, it's an intersection improvement conceptual plan. When you have that in front of you, we can have these discussions, because they are important discussions. So,
We have the
delay does nothing.
We have the conceptual plan in front of us now, but you're going to spend money on surveying and services that may or may not be the final product. I don't want to throw good money after a project that may have changes in it down the road and pay for change orders. I've had enough change orders in the last year.
I disagree.
Kyle, go ahead.
Mayor, Commissioner Hartman has a valid concern regarding the parking on the east side of Peninsula. I think if you approve the contract tonight, that will make him to proceed with the service. The service is not going to take anything out. It's just going to give you whatever the right-of-way that is existing. And what we could do, the public workshop is going to be on September 1st. So we could come back and have these discussions. At least they'll be working on the survey. That will save us some time. And we could discuss regarding his concerns. So my recommendation is to go ahead and move with the contract, and then we could address the concerns.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, my thought process was a little bit in Commissioner Clody's vein of thought, maybe even Commissioner McGurk says, let's find out what is possible. It doesn't mean we're going to do all of that, but right now, what I don't want to do is come up with like, aha, we've agreed this is it, and then have the engineers come back and say, well, you can't do that because of XYZ, survey right away, et cetera. My thought was when we had that kind of brief initial meeting, it was saying, yeah, there's enough here that's worth going and spending some money to look at this, and there was enough consensus among us to say, yeah, there's enough benefit to go spend the money to figure out what is conceptually possible, and then we figure out what of those options kind of that we want to do. So maybe the middle ground is we move forward tonight. We do this, but we do add it to the workshop agenda so that we can have more of an in-depth discussion. So with that, do I have a motion on item 6Y, please?
I make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, with discussion, I just want to emphasize that we're going to address this at the Commissioner Hartman's concerns at the workshop, September 1st.
Okay.
I would, as a comment on that, we will not have it back in time, this work that we're authorizing, in time for September 1st.
But we'll still have the general discussion, I think, is the thought process.
Okay.
All right, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
No.
Commissioner Cloney?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
No.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
That passed, right? Sorry, I lost track. I was trying to remember who did AD. All right, items 6Y pass. AD,
6Z,
Oh, that was
we were
also, was that pulled? That was right, you pulled that
just to
one, yeah.
give the direction to the city attorney to negotiate with the UC on the pricing and turn it into a formula instead of
Commissioner-
using a chart.
Commissioner Colodi, can you give me a motion on that?
Yes, I do.
Can you?
Authorize the staff to discuss minor changes to the contract.
So that's an approval with authorization of Carrie to negotiate on some pricing issues and other items. Do I have a second on that motion?
Yes.
Second.
That's a motion. I have a second. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Sacks.
Which item?
Z was the UC thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Colodi,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now item AD, I believe
Well, I think.
he pulled it
Well, he
first.
pulled
You
it
pulled it.
first.
All right, Vice Mayor, go ahead. We'll start with you.
I think the Real Deal Film Festival or corporation, whoever those independent film crew are asking for an awful lot from us. You know, it's funny, way back when, we used to get 2 or 3 months of a break, we residents that live here. But I saw in the little narrative that this event would take advantage of that low time in the season, in the year. And I think the folks that live here really need that break. I know I do. I know it's wanted, needed. So to jam us up, number one, with a lot more activity and another possible festival, and asking to use the Brandon Center for free, and asking for other costs, I can't support this.
Okay. Any other comments on this item? We do have them available for comments or questions.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
First, I want to apologize to staff. I did not give you a heads up that I was going to pull this. As I understand, who for staff is that you? Okay, Dave?
David, go ahead.
This is a for-profit entity? This is not is this a 501, is this a 501c3, or is this some kind of?
The entity is the Real Film Foundation. It's a 501c3, and it's a Florida nonprofit corporation. It's not for-profit, nor 100% volunteer run.
Okay, so and then what is the nonprofit for representing?
Real Film Foundation. And one of their projects is the Real Deal Film Festival, but the main thrust of the work is to bring filmmaking alongside the art that is very plentiful already in New Smyrna. The painting, the sculpture, the various art forms that are represented, and there isn't an independent film festival here.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm kind of missing the big picture here. You're referring to paintings and.
I was more referring to the mission of it would be that it would add an art form in a town that is known for art, that isn't as represented as some of the art forms that we see festivals for on a regular basis.
Okay, what is it that you guys are actually, what do you do?
Sure.
What is the Real Deal Film here in New Smyrna?
The Real Film Festival is a project that was begun at the Hub on Canal. I used to be their director of outreach. I am the person who was running outreach when we tripled the Razzle Dazzle Fashion program participation and kept it going during the breakdown, the lockdown. I was the person who created the Dazzle magazine for the city with their grant in order to keep that program going. So my specialty is outreach. We had over 60 student filmmakers from Volusia County send films, public service announcements, what they call sports edits, to the festival. They were allowed to enter for free. And we have a vibrant filmmaking community here. We have a local photographer who happens to be a Hub artist, Shelley Lynch, who has a 25-minute documentary that we would like to premiere at the event. And we are looking to produce a small town, coastal town film festival that may have 2 or 3 screening rooms running for the course of a 4-day event. To think of taking advantage of the period of a lull, the thought was more that it might bring people into restaurants and small businesses and renting kayaks and that sort of thing. I don't see it as an enormous crowd like a Biketoberfest or an Images or anything like that. But one of the big jobs that is coming into play is content creation. And Daytona State College just created a brand new articulation agreement this year, and we will be partnering with them. And they have created this particular articulation agreement with Volusia Schools for their digital and interactive media department. So I've met with Brad Moody in that department, and we want to create and foster art for the next generation of content creators. And so the main thrust of the Real Film Foundation is going to be outreach, which is my specialty in addition to filmmaking. Okay. So I hope that clarifies a little bit, because I did think it appeared, because of the name of the festival, to be a for-profit. But most film festivals go out of business if they're not staffed by volunteers as a passion project.
I'm willing to support the donation of the buildings, but I understand you want $5,000 of a donation from the city, cash, essentially, not in value of donation from building, but in terms of monetary value.
Yes, for what I think are valid purposes, to cover the fees of students entering the festival, scholarship for festival winners.
I think there's a lot of positive that you're explaining, but I'm not ready yet to be able to commit to that.
Sure.
I don't understand the film festival enough to where New Smyrna's gonna get a $5,000 value out of that. My concern is that if we approve this, we're gonna get a lot of monetary requests. We can accommodate, in my opinion, buildings much easier than we can accommodate actual monetary value. So I can agree to the portion of the buildings. At this time, I'm not going to be comfortable supporting a $5,000 monetary value. And that's just my opinion. Obviously, I'm not speaking for the commission.
All right.
Thank you.
Other comments on this item from the commission? Commissioner Hartman, any comments?
I would just ask Khalid where the money would come from. I mean, we're at the end of a budget year. Where are we, and then where are we going to go from here? So, or David.
So the $5,000 donation would come out of the Leader Services budget. It would come out of the events portion of our events line item of our budget.
Okay. Commissioner Colodi, any comments before
May I add something?
Let me just come to him real quick, and then I'll come back to you. Any comments or anything? Questions?
No, I kind of like the thinking of Commissioner McGurk. I would like to keep the 5,000, and as long as the use of the building doesn't interfere with other rentals, that's something you would have to work out between the two of you. But I could support that without the cash donation. I can understand why you would want it for a first time on something like this, but I just don't agree with it this time.
Okay. If you had something else really, really briefly.
I did want to add the other collaboration that we are doing is during Black Heritage Month. We are planning a collaboration with the Mary S. Harrell Black Heritage Museum to bring a traveling series of African American filmmakers from the festival in New York City to screen their film. So that will be a during the year service project with free admission that we are going to work together through our relationships in film. Yep. And with each other, having collaborated before.
And I'll comment on that. In the future, or certainly if the Black Heritage Festival was part of coming forward and asking for this grant under those circumstances, that would be something I would strongly take into consideration. Thank you.
So briefly, my comments, and then we'll move on. So first, thank you for trying to do something in New Smyrna. We appreciate it. I love when people take initiative. So whatever the results of tonight are, please don't interpret it that we don't appreciate that you're trying to do something for New Smyrna, because I think everyone appreciates that, as does the public. So, but we are in a tough spot. Oftentimes we get asked for a lot of things, and we have to consider what we've done in the past and what floodgates or doors that may open up in the future. So I tend at this point, although I'd be excited about bringing something new, trying something new, may not work, may work. We believe it would under your leadership. I'm excited about that. I tend to agree with my colleagues. I have concern over, the check. I think the use of the facilities is something we could probably easier, I can swallow that easier. So I don't know if that gets you as far as you need to go. I will say we live in a very generous community that does support the arts. So my hope would be, if this has the merits and you have the support that you have been able to garner on other projects, I think you can close that gap if we maybe can support that. So that's where I land, gentlemen. I agree with Commissioner.
I'm going to make a motion. My motion is to support the festival with the use of the buildings, not the cash. I will reach out to me. I'll make. What the mayor said was 100% accurate. I will make a donation to this personally, but my motion is for the use of the city facilities, but not the monetary amount.
Second.
I have a second. And to be clear, I think our intent, and correct me if someone disagrees, would be, work with David on that. And obviously, if we've already got something booked, that's booked. If it's revenue generating, and this would just work into gaps that we have in the schedule that are not booked. So. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll on AD.
Commissioner Colodi.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman.
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks.
No.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Gentlemen, I believe at 7:30 we have made it through the consent agenda. Does everyone agree that I missed anything? All right. Next item up, 7A, we have a code enforcement lien amnesty request. We'll first hear from the city. And I believe we also have someone here speaking on behalf of the requestor. So, yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Yes, Mr. Howard has...
Make sure to pull that mic down a little bit if you would. They can't hear you there. There you go.
Mr. Howard is the property owner at 3203 Saxon Drive, and at the time that he purchased the house, actually, they built a new house there after a house had burnt. And at the time that he purchased it, there was a city lien on the property. The lien total for just the demolition of the home was $4,692.70. It's my understanding at the time that the sale of the property went through and stuff, there was somehow it was overlooked what was owed to the city. So the city to date has not received a payment. With the total going through August 31st, 2021, it's $7,250.67. That's what the interest accrued through the end of August.
Kelly, can you pull that item up here? 7A, the staff report, or I think it's like the attachment B, maybe under. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, and I would just recommend that the city not take the reduction. If they did take anything, I would say maybe take it through the end of May. They originally tried to get on the agenda, and I needed to do some other research and stuff because we had some issues where the property was being reported as being rental property and stuff, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was covered before I brought it to the commission.
Okay. Any questions of staff? I believe someone representing the applicants here, but any questions for staff? Go ahead.
Quick question. Hi, Barbara. You say that the cost to take down the structure was $4,000?
Yes.
Okay. And approximately how much money would you say that staff time has been put into that?
I would say because it's gone, it had to go to building trade, and the property was inspected also by the fire department and by the building department. So really with everybody's time and effort, I really wasn't involved with it at this time because it was through the building department. But I would say there's probably well over $1,000 worth of time by the staff.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, don't go far. I believe someone's here to speak on the applicant. Judy, hello.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Judy Riker, Marketing Manager with Fidelity National Title, and Jamie Clark is our Branch Manager, 304 North Causeway, New Smyrna. So I'm here on behalf of Fidelity because we obviously closed this, but also we had to get Mr. Israel to sign the application for leniency. But it's not Mr. Israel's lien. It was the lien for the condemnation of the structure, as Barbara said, Christine Jacoby. Mr. Israel's not going to pay this lien. He's not going to pay the principal amount. He's not going to pay the interest. He's not going to pay anything at all. So when Fidelity closed this in 2018, we were dealing with heirs because Christine had died, and the heirs were difficult, and it was a difficult transaction. There were IRS liens that we needed to clear. There were years of back taxes that we cleared and paid to the county, and other title issues, probate and whatnot. So because of these challenges, it actually took an awfully long time from contract to close. And honestly, the lien was missed. So we're telling on ourselves here. The property's been cleared up, a new home is built. I had sent you all pictures of it, and that's another thing that Mr. Israel said, look, we have this nice home, I'm taking care of it, and so it's good for the neighborhood. The matter of the unpaid lien came to our attention most recently in May by Mr. Israel. I believe probably he received something from the city, so he reached out to us. Because between 2018 and now, we didn't know anything, really. We closed it, and we were done. But, and we understand that the city waited an awfully long time, since 2014, for your money. We know that. So when we got the message from Mr. Israel, then that's when we got busy and said, well, maybe the 8% interest, which is recorded at 8%, which is what the interest is, could either be removed or reduced. So our ask is for some leniency with regard to the interest. We're happy to pay the $4,692.70, which is what the city has been waiting for since 2014 and has advanced. So we're happy to have that to you in 10 days. We could do that. So we could get you that check right away. But we're just asking for some leniency with regard to the 8% interest. And if you don't want to forgive the entire amount, maybe you'd consider bringing the interest rate down to what's reasonable in our times, which is 0.5%.
You're not getting 8% of your bank? Come on.
So that is the ask, and that is the offer.
All right. Thank you. Any questions of the applicant's representative here or comments? Commissioner Colletti.
Comments?
All right. Y'all stand by, and we'll have some discussion. If we need you, we'll bring you in. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, we've gone through this on a couple of other properties, and one of the things I've offered on the other properties is that for a nominal reduction, that I would be willing to approve that, provided payment is made in full within 10 calendar days of this action. And I would be willing to reduce the interest to a flat $2,000, which would result in a savings of $557 and change to you, the owner, and would let us have this matter be over with. We would have our money. We would not have to continue to put our staff at task in dealing with this. So I would be willing to make a motion to do that.
Were you making a motion, or are you saying you're willing? Do you want to?
I'll make the motion, but I just want to know if there's any other comments.
Yeah, let's get some other comments.
For discussion.
All right, let's get some comments real quick and see where everyone else is. Any other? Yes, go ahead.
So obviously this isn't my field, so stop me if I'm wrong, correct me where I'm wrong. Because the transaction went through, Mr. Israel is not responsible for essentially something that he created. Is that correct?
He didn't create it. Christine Jacobs did. She was the prior owner in title.
Okay.
And he's not responsible because he has a title policy issued by Fidelity National Title, so we're
Okay, so
responsible.
he wasn't the original one who I got, so that was my, so, and you're on the hook for it because it was missed.
Correct.
Okay, so the bottom line is the person who created the problem is long gone. There's nothing we can do about that. You guys operate in good faith. You didn't deny anything. You didn't hold anything up. You're stuck holding the bag. It's a victim of circumstance. So I don't look at this as if Barbara had to deal with you guys as a problem child, where you denied this, you dragged your feet, you held it up, you said, who am I? Who are you? You can't do this, all that garbage. Waste a lot of time. I think that what I can do, I understand what Commissioner Colodi is saying, but this, I want to revert back to something we've done in the past, which is we want to get, obviously, the city's cost back. And I'm more willing to waive any additional interest and get back what we have in it, which in this case is roughly $4,000 for the demo and then roughly $1,000 of staff time. So that's still $5,000, a lot of money, and that's reducing it, not a whole heck of a lot. It's at $7,250. So you're talking about a $1,200 savings, taking out of it what the city has invested in it. So that's where I'm willing to go with this.
All right, let's hear from the rest of the commission, see if we have any consensus somewhere. Go ahead.
So when I was reading through the staff report, they condemned the house, they tore the house down, they placed a lien, then they applied for a new building, and we issued them a building permit. We issued them a CO, knowing that they still had a lien, that we had a lien on the property. 14 months of that's kind of on us. We could have probably collected it with withholding the CO or the building permit. So 14 months of that is kind of on us. So I don't usually support these kind of things, but I certainly would support, I guess you're leaning more towards the $5,000 flat, that's it. Because they actually owe $4,692, and then there would be a little bit of staff time on top of that. So I would support a greater reduction in Commissioner Colodi, because I think part of it is on us. I think talk to staff, and I think we're going to look at ways to make sure those things don't happen again. But we certainly do bear some of the responsibility here also, so.
Okay, so, all right, I think I know where you're at, roughly. Hang on, let's let Vice Mayor speak real quick on this. He hasn't spoken yet.
So question for Barb. You recommended no reduction in lien at first, or was there wiggle room?
If I did recommend anything, I would recommend going through the end of May, because originally they tried to get out on the agenda sooner, but I just wanted to make sure, because we had complaints about the property being rental properties and different stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that some of this activity wasn't taking place, the property wasn't in non-compliance in any way before I brought it before the commission. So
Thank you, Barb.
At the end of May, the total, I believe, was $7,156.05.
Like $100 or so. Other comments, questions?
Thanks, Barb. I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Real quick, because I haven't commented either. For staff, Brian, or whoever wants to comment, or Barb. So I like where Commissioner Hartman is going, and the first thing I wrote down was an annual notice. Like, I mean, it feels like we do have some culpability that, I mean, this could sit there. I mean, let me put it this way. Since finding out about this, since being notified, they have taken every measure to come and rectify this. And this is a unique situation. Normally we're dealing directly with the landowner, who's probably a little bit more reluctant to pay. But so I feel like we bear some that, do we not send out any kind of like an annual notice at least? Like, hey, you owe us this? Like, and again, there were interactions literally issuing permits, COs. Like, I feel like we probably could do a bit better of this has probably exposed a little bit of some opportunities for us to keep folks informed, make sure they at least can't stand before us and say, hey, I didn't even know about it from 2014. He moved in 2018. We're now in 2021. From 2018 to 2021, it feels like he should have been getting at least an annual letter in the mail that says, hey, you owe us X amount, and it's growing at 8%. Do we do anything like that, or?
I don't believe there is. I'll ask Barb if you...
I don't believe that there is. It's my understanding, and this was previous finance employees, but from what my knowledge from working with them was they sent out a one-time bill. When we requested the bill to be paid, to be mailed to the property owner, they received it once. And then with new staff coming on board in the finance department, they have gone through and have reissued bills.
Yeah.
So they're catching up on some of that stuff that
Yeah.
was a one-time bill.
I mean, I don't want to create an administrative nightmare and burden, and this may be the type of thing that might even could be outsourced or automated, really. I mean, this is, look, don't pay your credit card for a month. You know, see how many times you get called from them, 48,000 times, you get 18 letters. So I feel like we could probably do a little bit better. So for that reason, I tend to agree. I don't love reducing. We've taken a pretty hardline stance as this commission. But I could support a reduction. You know, I don't want to pick a number out of thin air, but to me, somewhere in that 5,500 range, if you go at 46 plus 1,000, somewhere in that range, I would support. So whatever the motion is, I could support something in that range. It feels right. And also acknowledging we have in front of us a locally run business that does a lot for our community. They give a lot in other ways to our community. So that also does carry weight with me as it would any other locally run business that came before. So,
Quick clarification, my math was all wrong. I thought the cost of the demo was $4,000. It was $4,600.
This is
Yeah, the cost of the demo was $4,692.
Okay, so plus 1,000 of staff time. So that's what I think we should do, is do the $4,600 plus the $1,000 of staff time, which would be $56,92.70.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a motion to reduce that lien to $5,692.70.
Got a motion. Do I have a second?
Seconded for discussion.
Second for discussion. Go ahead.
Are you willing to include the provision that the amount be paid within 10 working days?
Yes.
Okay. Is that acceptable to the seconder, obviously, since you brought it up?
Yes.
All right. We had a motion. We had a second.
And 10 working days, meaning 10 business days or 10 calendar days? I heard both.
10 calendar days. Sorry,
Calendar days.
said the wrong thing.
That works for you guys? Okay. Yes, my motion amended to include the 10 calendar days.
Okay. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll on that motion.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and we will have the money to you in 10 days.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
Or
both.
before. Don't wait 10 days.
Thank you.
8%.
We always check.
We really should probably look at that 8% also. I'd have a hard time defending that in today's interest environment. But all right, item 8A, ordinance 2921, a second reading public hearing, which would vacate a portion of Booker Avenue and Connor Avenue. City Attorney will read this a second time by title only.
Ordinance number 2921, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, vacating two separate portions of platted right-of-way in the Lockhart subdivision, generally located at the northeast corner of Mission Drive and Old Mission Road, providing for conflicting ordinances and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Staff report, Brian.
Just a brief staff report. The applicant is Buddy LaCour. He's here tonight. It's a request for vacation of two separate portions of platted right-of-way totaling 0.67 acres. And the map that Kelly has pulled up here, this is a map that illustrates the Old Mission Cove subdivision is the hatched area in blue. I don't know if it's easier to see up here. It's the hatched area. And then the road that's going to be dedicated with that subdivision is shown in red, traversing the site. The right-of-way being vacated is in yellow. It's this T shape here. It's Booker is the north-south segment, and Connor is the east-west segment. And then there's a tiny segment over there by Ingham Road. Those total 0.67 acres. The amount of right-of-way being dedicated by the new subdivision plat is 1.98 acres. So about 3 times of what's being vacated is being donated. So just a couple of points. Based on staff's review, it appears these 2 remnant portions may have been mistakenly omitted from the prior 2003 plat vacation that was approved by the Volusia County Council, and that these right-of-ways serve no real purpose by their exemption that we could find. The staff has determined that the application for street vacation is consistent with the city's land development regulations and comprehensive plan. And at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting on June 7th, that board voted 6-0 to recommend City Commission approve the requested street vacations. Staff also recommends City Commission approval, and the applicant is here as well.
Okay. Before we hear from, or you the applicant? All right, we'll hear from the applicant. Come ahead.
Good evening. My name is Buddy LaCour. I am your applicant for Old Mission Cove. I live at 148 South Corey Drive. I have been a resident of Volusia County for 67 years. I'm proud to say so. At the previous meeting, I took to heart what you, Mr. Mayor, had stated about the parking and the possible inconsistencies of parking by residents, and would offer that as the owner of this project, and while we control the HOA prior to the turnover, we could put some meat in the HOA's rules so that these right-of-ways could never be blocked, and would accept the responsibility of the HOA to manage that and put some teeth into that requirement. Although the design provides for the width of 2 parked cars across from each other and a fire truck could still come through, you know, at some point in time, there may be overlaps, and we would absolutely be willing to work the language out with staff for our HOA to enforce that possibility, so that there would be no conflict. At our last submission, we were willing to increase the size of the lots from 50 to 55 to make them a little more gracious for landscaping, spacing, fencing, air conditioning, all those things that kind of get cramped on a 50-foot lot. So we did that. We did lose some lots because of that, but we thought that it was important. Also, you know, to speak to the Vice Mayor's comments, and this is something that we took to heart early on in that view corridor. It is a beautiful piece of property. It was a former horse ranch, and we have agreed to convey 15 feet of the right-of-way that goes to the existing old fence line that will protect those mature grown trees inside of that property. Everything on the inside of that fence has already been cleared, and we diligently surveyed all of those trees and protected all of the big trees that were in there and worked the roadways out so that we could protect those trees. You know, I will tell you that in my past, I served as the master developer for the city of Port Orange. I personally acquired 16 pieces of property, and with my engineer of record on this project, he was the designer of the Riverwalk project. We're now underway there, and the city has control of that property. And I will tell you that I am a good steward of the land, and I seek to benefit the citizens and the city of New Smyrna and be a responsible steward of this project. I personally stand before you and I ask that you approve this vacation. I think it does serve the public good. We have met every requirement from the Utilities Commission, the county, St. John's, and there's probably 4 or 5 that I forget. Lastly, I'd like to comment on Mr. Jeff Gove. And, I know a lot of people kind of complain about working with a supervisor, but I will tell you that Mr. Gove has been firm but fair. And through his help and guidance, we were able to achieve 100% compliance with all the codes and regulations. And we look forward to being a responsible community where we put out a reasonably priced product with a high level of quality. And I do ask that you approve this vacation tonight. My engineer of record is here, Parker Mitchenberg, as well as my attorney who did all of the legal work on the plat, the HOA. If any of you have any questions or it's not clear, any of us stand here before you ready to answer those questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions of the applicant at this time? All right.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. LaCour, this is a stretch. I made the comment that this was a transition zone, that it is semi-rural, and we're working towards being semi-urban.
Yes,
Even
sir.
though your lots are a little bit larger, you're preserving some trees. Is there any, this is a large ask, but is there any way you could set aside several small parcels of land that would have Florida native plants on that land? And I ask you for a very vital reason. Even landscaping possibly some of your lots with those small features that mix in very nicely. You have an apiary, a bee farm, very close to where you
I'm very aware
propose.
of it. Yes, sir.
Yes. I don't want to name the name, Good Honey. But there's a lot of production there. There's a lot of productivity there for our city. And I'm afraid we'll lose that. So I'm just wondering if you probably do care. You've been here 67 years. If you can make small changes like that, which are great additions in the long run, just to provide habitat for a bee, a butterfly, a bird.
Absolutely.
That would be really appreciated.
I think that there are opportunities within the tree preservation areas that what you're seeing on the vacation, I think it's almost a 3-to-1 that for the old to the new that we're giving back. But if you look closely at the site plan, there's 3 different areas that are complete tree preservation areas. We even have one to the north that stays 100% natural. Across from, there's 12 townhomes. Across from that, we actually surveyed all of those trees down to 3 inches, and we picked that roadway because it preserved more trees that buffered the neighbor to the north. So within that area, absolutely, I would agree to plant native species in those tree preservations, as well as along the 15-foot right-of-way that we've already dedicated and have guaranteed to convey and preserve. I would be happy to provide a list of native species and augment our planning with that, as well as offer that within our landscaping plans on the individual houses. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you for your consideration. I believe the citizens, the environment, the city will benefit.
I would be very proud to do that, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for the applicant? Gentlemen, it's a public hearing. We'll hear from the public if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
And then we can always call you back up if we have other questions and concerns as we discuss it. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item, just this item? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We've heard from the city, we've heard from the applicant, and we heard from the public and their silence. Do we have any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
to vacate a right-of-way that was created for some reason that we have no idea why at some time in the past. That time is gone. We have a fully compliant subdivision here, and to not approve this vacation, I think would be simply wrong. I heard the comments from Commissioner Sachs. I agree with them, and I think that's something that can be worked out between our staff and the applicant. But I see no reason not to approve it. I think it's a reasonable thing. So our development regulations, it's being built under. If we have a problem with the way things are going, we have to change those regulations, which I'm willing to do. But I'm not willing to hold up the development by not approving this.
Okay. We have a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I just have one comment. You know, one of the toughest parts of this job is managing perception versus reality. The perception can be, in cases like this, folks hear, you know, the city's giving up land. You know, the city's giving up something we own. We're giving to the developers again. You know, here it comes again. So, city attorney and I went back and forth quite a bit on this because I wanted to make sure I could answer to my citizenry why that wasn't the case. So, Carrie, if you would, just for the benefit of the public as we consider this, share some of the due diligence that you did to kind of justify the city's position that we're not giving up. This isn't land we could go and sell or use for some other purpose. So give some of that background, if you would, that you shared with me.
Yes, so this is to directly address this misconception that this is somehow our land to sell or dispose of. So back in 1926, this is the plat of a much larger area. This is one portion of the plat that they're replatting this applicant. And so back then, the development. Am I too far?
We have a new toy over there I wanted to use. Get the back camera.
Mayor gets to play with a gadget.
I'm not going to. Kelly gets to play with a gadget.
Just like on Judge Judy.
That's okay.
Let's see how this works.
Please hold, it's going to take one moment.
All right, it's going to take a second. Go ahead if you want. She'll get that pulled up in a second.
So that plat was dedicated in 1926. There were 4 owners, all with the last name Lockhart. They had a proposed idea in mind for the development of this area. They are the ones who dedicated, at that time it was in the county, to the county, these public rights of way. So they don't own them. What they do is they hold them in trust for the public. So there's no ability for the, unless it's specifically written on the plat that this is going to revert back to the original dedicators, this is held in trust for the public. It's an easement. So, okay, so I didn't know this was going to be displayed, so that's my artwork there. The pendant portion that looks like a T,
yep.
That's one area they are seeking to vacate. And when you look at the aerial, Brian's aerial, you'll see that that right-of-way leads nowhere. There's no public using that right-of-way. There's another tiny piece over on, it's better seen on Brian's map, but off of Ingham Road, tiny little piece that is not serving the public in any manner at all. So this developer has come along, bought this. They have no use for those little portions of right-of-way, and they're asking to vacate 0.67 acres, and in return, they're giving us almost triple that amount of public right-of-way. So when you look at the public good, you're focused on this particular area. You're not focused on any other area of the city. The other facts we need to keep in mind are that the comprehensive plan, which is your vision for the city, adopted by your forefathers, they envisioned residential. It's low-density residential and medium-density residential. The zoning, R2, R3, R4. They are developing consistent with the comprehensive plan, consistent with the rezoning. So I hope that's a thorough review.
Yeah. I wanted to thank you for that. I wanted to also show this because that's a lot of parcels. As it was, I mean, this is from, when was this, 1926?
Yes.
You know, that's some density right there. So, you know, Is it
So
progress?
to
I
the
don't
east
know.
of Johnson Avenue, which is now Old Mission Road, some of those houses have developed. And then this blue portion just didn't develop at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Using the new toy. This would come in handy, I feel like. Okay. So with that, we had a motion item, didn't we? Did we? We got a motion in a second. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 2921 is adopted. Item 8B is a historic tree removal. It's a public hearing. This is for Laurel Oak in conjunction with the Green Lawn Affordable Housing Project. Brian, I think you're on this one.
Yes, Mayor. This is a request to remove a 52-inch historic laurel oak tree in conjunction with the proposed Green Lawn Manor Senior Affordable Housing Project at 600 Green Lawn Street. The applicant is New Smyrna Beach Development Partners. The property owner is New Smyrna Beach Housing Authority. Subject property is under the development planning process for the Green Lawn Manor Senior Affordable Development, which will be owned and operated by New Smyrna Beach Housing Authority. City's received a site plan application for the redevelopment of the property, consisting of 80 multifamily units for senior affordable housing. That site plan is expected to go to the Planning and Zoning Board for approval in September. The site has 5 historic trees, while the project manages to work around 4 of these, and they're shown in this map in the green circles. The design, as proposed, requires the removal of one 52-inch laurel oak tree, which is located in the main drive aisle of the proposed parking lot. So we're talking about the location of the red circle here in the parking area. The other 4 historic trees, or my laser is fading away here, but you can see the circles there. So they have worked around the existing historic trees, which are in much better condition and worthy of protection. Kelly, if you could roll to the photo on the next page, please. This is kind of a unique tree. Per the arborist report, it has multiple branch bark inclusions and is experiencing significant delay. The report states the subject tree has a high likelihood of failure. Staff performed an on-site inspection of the tree and confirmed the arborist's findings. This is what's referred to as a multi-trunk tree, and the proper method to determine the diameter is to measure it at the narrowest point of the main trunk, which occurs before the split, which in this case is still over 36 inches to classify it as historic. It's about 38 inches at the narrowest point of the trunk. At DBH, at the 4.5 foot is where we get the 52 inch. So no matter how this is classified or considered, it's an historic tree by our requirements. There's 4 conditions for removal of an historic tree. This one satisfies, in staff's opinion, that the tree is either dead, diseased, structurally unsound, or severely injured, such that the tree is likely to die within 2 years. Again, per the arborist report, the tree has multiple bark inclusions, advanced decay, and the likelihood of failure is high. Given that advanced decay, staff determined that the 3rd condition is met. The tree is structurally unsound. In this case, rather than reconfiguring the parking lot design to preserve a tree that has a high likelihood of failure, staff agrees with the applicant's request and recommends approval to remove the tree.
Okay. Any questions of staff on the report? If this is a public hearing, any members of the public wish to comment on this item at this time? Seeing none, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the historic tree removal request?
So I make a motion to approve and that we waive any fees associated with the removal of the tree. And if I get a second, I'll explain it.
Second for discussion.
So as you know, affordable housing is kind of my thing, and I've been following a lot of these, and most recently through the county, there's been quite a few Zoom meetings and presentations. And as these developers who try to develop these affordable housing projects, you know, a lot of the problem comes with permitting and the fees that are associated with that. They stack them up, and eventually at the end, it's actually a per unit cost. So I think in the spirit of trying to make this truly an affordable housing project, that we should waive these fees that are associated with these trees, if there are any, to kind of lessen the burden of the cost on the developer. You know, he's gone above and beyond with state and federal funding to get this thing through tax benefits. So I think that if we truly are looking to do something about affordable housing, this would be one step in that direction.
Brian, do you know, are there two questions? Are there fees that were paid to make this application tonight to come before us? And then are there any future fees that would be paid from this, if approved, from this point forward?
There's an application to remove historic tree that they did pay for. That's not a high fee. It's
a couple $100. I mean, give me a ballpark. Sorry to put you on the spot. I know. 300.
300.
All right, we'll call it 300. All right.
The second part, like any development, is we look at what they're taking out and then what they're putting back. And if they have to meet certain requirements, that if they don't meet that, they would potentially have to pay into a tree mitigation fund. So I think where your head is that if they meet all of our landscaping requirements, that they would not be obligated to pay into the mitigation fund. That's what I'm understanding your suggestion.
Yes.
Okay. What if they don't? I mean, they have to meet our landscaping requirements, so they would have to not pay in, right? I mean,
Well, depends on how much had to be taken out. Meet our landscape requirements, like the buffers, the new plantings, and if they're short of what they took out, then they would need to pay in.
pay into the tree fund. So what you're proposing is even if they come up short, that's caused by this, they would.
Yeah.
I guess I completely agree with what you're saying. Does staff agree? Does it get? Are you going to be able to do that?
Yes.
Is it clear cut enough? You're going to be comfortable that you can grant?
Yes,
that?
I think we could implement that.
Okay. All right. We had a motion. We had a second. Go ahead. You had a comment.
So the only concern I have about it is getting to the detail of why someone wouldn't meet the landscaping requirement, and could they choose not to? And then we get a not good project. In other words, it's done on the cheap for the landscaping and aesthetically, and now we waived the fee for them to have to pay into the landscaping or the tree mitigation fund. See, I agree with what Commissioner Hartman is saying in principle, but I don't want that to be used as an excuse to do the project on the cheap and not meet our landscaping requirements.
If I can pick you, that's what I meant when I meant administrating it, meaning just this tree. Meaning if they remove however many inches, there's a calculation that says they have to do at least X or pay into the fund or plant trees in parks, et cetera. I guess I'm meaning I want to just relax this tree, not give them a carte blanche of, hey, they put a few pieces of mondo grass out and call it a day. They're now, you know what I mean? Like I do think there's a certain minimum level standard that we should hold. So is that where
So if I understand what you're saying is, we'll waive the fee associated with this specific tree, not the overall landscaping plan.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Can you?
Yes, I think Commissioner Hartman was asking, as I interpreted, for the entire mitigation required, but you're asking, can we remove this one tree from the mitigation calculation?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We can do it either way.
Come back to the motion maker. This is were you meaning the whole thing, or were you saying for this specific tree, or had you quite gotten that far?
Well, this specific tree.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
All right. So I think we're on the same page on that. At least
Yes.
we three are. Any other comments on this one? Yes, Commissioner Colodi.
My comment really isn't specifically about the tree. It's, when I looked at the site plan, we had discussed this at length when the project came before us originally. And by looking at the site plan, it appears that no attempt has been made to limit the amount of pavement, driveways, and parking that we're putting out there. It's a senior citizens complex. I don't know exactly how our standards are for that, but I would be willing to lessen the amount of pavement. I would just soon see a lot of those parking areas be left as a lawn area, grass area, usable for almost anything. It could be used for, if they have events, for excess parking. I had hoped that that would have been looked into before we got to this point. If something like that had been done, this whole question might not be even relevant as to whether this tree comes or goes. So I'm really disappointed that it's got to this point. And I will be following up for site plan approval.
Okay. Brian, where are we in that and that, if we move forward with this, can we still address his, if he comes back with concerns or
So, yes,
valid points?
that issue is being addressed in our current parking LDR update, and that's on the agenda for September 1st workshop. However, in the meantime, if a reduction in the number of paved spark parking spaces wanted to be granted, it would be a variance currently to our code process. Now, the applicant is here, that is something they asked for up front, given that it's senior housing, so they may be able to address that, but currently that would require a variance to reduce the amount of paved parking.
But did you say that is something they asked for up front?
They were interested in doing that.
Okay.
First I heard that, I'm glad to hear it.
Okay.
Would save them money.
So, if I may suggest, gentlemen, let's get the tree issue finished.
Yes.
And then we'll come back and touch that briefly, and then keep going on the agenda. I had a motion and a second. The motion, to be clear, was to grant approval, but to waive any future fees and/or landscaping requirements specific to this tree. Was that including the 300 that's already paid as a refund, or let that go?
Would be the 300 that's already paid also.
Including the 300 already paid, if that's acceptable to the seconder, I get an affirmative. All right, City Clerk, if you'd call the roll on that motion.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
No.
Commissioner Cloney?
No.
Mayor Owen?
Yes. Okay. Before we move to 9A, Commissioner Colodi, I guess or Brian, I'll give you a moment. Do you want to, what is the next step on this? Should we put that as an agenda? I mean, they would have to file for a variance. Do we want to see how the rest of the commission feels, so we know if they even, that's worth going through the process?
I would suggest you hear from them if that's something that they're still would like to pursue on this site. It has gone through some iterations, and then we can see how we would process that, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, so we'll just take just a minute, because I don't want to because you're not prepared for it, we're not prepared for it, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but maybe just to give us a sneak preview. So if you want to just take a minute and speak to maybe what that would look like, and we'll give you some feedback to let you know whether there's a path forward maybe.
Sure. Good evening. I'm Erin Schlitz. I'm with Smith & Enzi. We're the co-developer partner of the Housing Authority. So we did have a discussion several months back with staff about pursuing a parking reduction, something we're very much interested in, but we spoke then that it would require a variance. And unfortunately, because of the way the low-income housing tax credit program works, we're under some pretty strict deadlines. So we just didn't have time to pursue the variance. We're trying to close our financing, which means have permits in hand by October 1st. And we have to complete construction by end of next year, 2022, in order to receive the tax credits.
Okay.
So that's kind of the backstory and where we're at now.
So, Brian, do you agree that's kind of a moot point then at this point? Is there any path forward to get that variance? I mean, if all parties agreed, and again, I don't know if the rest of the commission's there yet, so, but.
I would suggest we move forward with the site plan, the planning and zoning to keep the schedule we just heard. And then one of two things will happen is they could still apply for a variance and then might be able to get some relief to the paved parking on what would be the approved plan. Or if the commission passes a new parking ordinance that maybe gives them the opportunity to make a change to get that relief. So two options are still out there to have less paved parking.
Okay. All right. I tend to agree with Commissioner Colodi. I would certainly, if something needed to come back to us, I mean, I know we're going to talk about it, but if something needed to come back to us, I could support some kind of a variance on that, obviously within reason. But if you were able to work with staff, I could support it. So you have at least two. Any other, I see some other affirmative nods. So it sounds like there may be a path forward. If you wanted to spend some time talking to staff about it, that'd probably be Brian can help you maybe figure out a way to navigate.
Well,
briefly.
basically, as we're going to be reviewing the parking requirements, if we do decide to make changes there, they could conceivably go for an amended site plan approval before they start actually digging something up. We're putting a three-story building in the middle of a residential area and turning the rest of the vacant land into a parking lot.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thanks, Brian. Thank you all for being here. All right. Item 9A is a first reading. City Attorney. We'll read this ordinance first time by title only.
Ordinance number 3021, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 8 supplementary regulations, Section 80304, regulations pertaining to boats, boat docks, and boat docks with terminal platforms, covered boat slips, boathouses, mooring poles, and other boat storage and docking facilities, to revise the maximum footprint for single-family dock structures, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Did you do the second reading?
Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021.
All right. You can just keep rolling.
Okay. Ordinance number 3121, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 6 Development Design and Improvement Standards, Section 60412 signs to allow for a 4-year extension to the amortization of existing pole signs with conditions, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
So, I support this, but if in fact in reality, it's going to expire at the end of the year, we're giving them a 4-year extension on this, yet we allow them until November 29th of 2025 and 2023 if they do face changes or anything like that. I truly believe that if we're going with the pole sign ordinance and going to give them a 4-year extension on removing the existing one, if they have any damage over 50%, if there's a change in ownership or a change in business or face change, why we would allow that after November 29th of this year? Because in reality, they would have taken it down anyway, had we not granted the extension. So I kind of want to get your consensus on that. I mean, why would you allow somebody to do a face change on a sign knowing that 2 years later they're going to have to take it down? You know, that's a business call on their end, but still, if our ultimate goal is to get rid of the pole signs.
One of the problems that people will run into is they can afford the change out. They can't afford the change of the whole structure. Because we're talking about now, we're talking a $10,000 to $15,000 and up to 20. So you can change a face out, which now is done very cheaply. And so you'd have to give them, they'd have to take the pole down. And at some point in the future, when they can have that kind of money. So that would be the problem with it.
We're going to take it down in 4 years.
Yeah, and
why would you allow them to change the face out? Or
well, it's a repair, really, is you're allowing them to make repairs. Otherwise, it can be code enforcement issues. And then you're going to have people who are going to maybe patch something that could look bad because they can't afford and they don't want to lose the pole sign. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong in that what I'm saying is right. I'm just saying that that's the real world situation of what's going to happen. And then we're going to get crummy looking signs because, or you're going to get stuff done unpermitted, or they're going to try to, you know, if you force someone into a bad into a corner, you're not going to get the best, you're not necessarily going to get the best possible outcome, especially when it's
but if it's a change of use or the act of it's terminated or a change of ownership, you know, that's something that the new owners is going to deal with anyway.
Yeah, but that's a big, when you're buying something, that's a lot of money. That can be easily digested.
But we have an ordinance on the books now that expires at the end of the year, yet we've allowed, permitted and allowed signs to be put, new signs go up along US 1 in the last 6 months. So
new pole signs? Or replacement repair?
Replacement.
Well,
not a new sign.
We're not allowing
so you changed the entire face of it. I mean, the poles were there, but it used to be a gas station. Now it's a wine store.
Well, the face is cheap. These are just plastic inserts.
I know, but had we not granted, if we don't grant this 4-year extension, they would have had to take it all down anyway, right? Or face fines.
So it was a change of use from a gas station to a wine store?
Yeah. You know, just have problems with, if the end goal is to get rid of the pole signs, why are we allowing incremental, I understand your point of view, I understand that it's a thing, but if they're gonna spend $300-400 to fix a face, knowing that they're gonna have to spend $1,000 to replace it in 2 years.
Well, you may be hitting the nail on the head. I'm not so sure that getting rid of the pole signs, I can tell you this. I've seen some monument signs go up recently that look a heck of a lot worse than a lot of the pole signs out there, to be quite honest. And I think we can look at the monument signs and maybe have to have some kind of aesthetics or architectural. I mean, there's some pretty bad ones that were just done as cheaply as they could, but they were still $10,000. It's
Yeah, I know.
crazy.
So, if I may, because I had some, thoughts, I guess, that I was going to share at second reading on this one, because my notion was just, do we toggle the change a number from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 or whatever the number is? So I thought it was something that we could easily cut and paste at second reading. So I don't know if we want to try to debate it tonight and make the change between now and second reading, or if we're just changing a number from 3 years to 4 years, are we comfortable with having that debate at second reading and making that tweak, or do we feel like that needs to be debated now and
Well, I
published?
think what he's talking about is,
Can you pull
Yeah,
up
I could-
9A, Kelly? Yeah, perfect.
so under,
9B, Kelly.
C items 1 and 2.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I just said 9B.
so no face changes are permitted on existing non-vintage designated pole signs after November 29, 2023. So we could easily change that to a different year.
Right.
Existing non-vintage designated pole sign shall be removed after this date for a change of, yeah, but just changing the date, that would be easy enough.
I guess that was my thought. We can debate that. Members of the public may have comments on it. This really wasn't, so I saw your hand though. Go ahead.
Requiring new monument signs is just fine, but on a lot of our properties that exist, especially on Dixie Freeway, to take a pole sign down and put a monument sign down can create hardships on the owner and the traveling public, because they could block vision in and out of driveways. As an example, there was one pole sign taken down and replaced with a monument sign. He also had to take away 3 parking spaces because of the hazard that it created. So I've said it any number of times. Monument signs are great. I like them. But in some places, pole signs are really the only way to allow a person to advertise his property and still have safe ingress and egress. So that's something we can't change on second reading. So, but given 4 years to work this thing out, we can keep working at that to try to make a safe way to do it in our land development regulations.
Okay. So my thought is if staff agrees and the commission agrees, we've had the first reading, we got the second reading. If we have debate at the second reading on 2 years, 3 years, et cetera, we can make that, if the commission's will is, whatever the motion is made at that time, we can make those minor tweaks. If we want substantive changes, that's a whole different process. We gotta
Yes.
start over. So Carrie, do you have something else?
I was just checking, I haven't read that title yet, correct?
Which, 9C?
3121.
You could read it again.
Yeah.
3121, yeah, you did.
I wasn't sure if he stopped me before or.
No, he stopped you after.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah.
that-
I don't know if you did yeah, I think you did the whole thing. Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021. All right, we're on item 9C now.
All right, 9C, ordinance number 3221, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach granting a non-exclusive franchise to My Dumpster Guy LLC to provide construction and demolition debris removal services within the City of New Smyrna Beach, outlining franchisees' duties, providing terms and conditions under which such franchise shall operate, providing for severability, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021. Ordinance number 3321. An ordinance amending Chapter 58 Parks and Recreation of the City of New Smyrna Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Section 58-2 Hours Established for Use of Parks and Recreation Areas to revise park rules, establish penalties, define camping, establish minimum requirements for evidence of camping, and to provide for an enforcement procedure, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021. Ordinance number 3421, an ordinance amending Chapter 1 of the City of New Smyrna Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Section 1-14 to revise penalties for municipal ordinance violations, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 24th, 2021.
Okay. Next item is the Golf Advisory Board. We've got the reappointment or appointment of 2 members to serve 3-year terms expiring on September 1st, 2024, and the appointment of a citizen to serve a 3-year term expiring at the same time. So basically we have 3 appointments. The terms of William Purtell and Nancy Liu and Ann Bauman all expire September 1st, 2021. Mr. Purtell and Ms. Bauman have served Bowman, I don't know, Bowman probably, have each served 1 term. All right, so they're eligible to be reappointed and have submitted their desire to be so. Right? Okay.
That is correct.
Ms. Knapp's residential location is outside of New Smyrna. So we have now said we want all of our Golf Advisory Board members to be in New Smyrna, so that vacancy is not eligible for a reappointment by that person. So let me pause if we can and talk about the reappointments. Do I have a motion to reappoint William Purtell and Ann Bowman to second 3-year terms?
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll on that.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now, do we have any nominations for the unfilled term?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
through whatever reason, there's apparently an oversight. There are at least 2 other people who have applied in the past to be appointed to this board. When I was out at the golf course the other day, our manager out there reminded me that these 2 people still have interest and they play regularly at the golf course. So I'm asking we hold this off until the clerk has had time to try to dig them up.
Okay. Any concern with that, gentlemen, delaying this last appointment? Make sure I want to consider all the applicants for sure, so. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll just bring that back on a future agenda and try to find where those applications are. All right, item 10B, the Housing Authority. We have 2 members to serve 4-year terms. The term of William and Judy have expired or will expire at the end of this month. Mr. Mall has served 2 terms. Mr. Riker served 1 term. And then we have 1 application from New Smyrna resident. I meant to ask you before, I'm sorry. This one has a term limit or no term limit on Housing Authority?
The Housing Authority is a bit different. That's by state. So this is one of the ones that we set aside that we didn't mainstream like the rest for the 3-year term. So we didn't mess with what was originally stated.
Got it. So Ms. Riker has asked to be reappointed, and I take it Mr. Mall hasn't then? Is that what's happening?
For this particular one, it is they do have 2 term on there. It's a 4-year term. I should have clarified that. So it's a 4-year term, 2-term limit on here. So that is stated in there.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is Mr. Mall can't be reappointed. That's why we're not considering him.
Right. Well, he's already served 2 terms.
Got it.
And so,
Okay.
And we did have an applicant.
All right. So we have 1 applicant, and then we have Ms. Riker who's seeking reappointment. So to have a motion on, what's the commission's pleasure on that?
Motion to reappoint Judy Riker to the Housing Authority.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that one first. City Clerk, if you call the roll.
Commissioner Clutie?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes. Do I have any nominations for an appointment? I think we only have one application.
There's only one
Tim-
open
Tim
spot, one
Foley.
applicant, right?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
All right, it's a hard decision.
What's the commission's pleasure?
We're going to vote?
Somebody make a motion, then
Make
we
a
can vote.
motion, I'm making a motion to appoint,
Timothy Foley.
Timothy,
Hold it.
Foley, thank you.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
City clerk?
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clutie?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes. All right. Those have been taken care of. We look forward to hearing back on the golf advisory and wrapping that one up. Mayor and Commission reports is the next item up. We will begin, as always, with our Vice Mayor Sacks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very brief. I just want to send out a thank you and a kudos to Heather Kidd. She instituted a program that would offer leave time for employees that get the COVID shot. And I think it's a good incentive to go out and get that shot. I support it. I'm trying to keep politics aside because the public health comes first. So with that endeavor and her being the director of human resources, I really appreciate what she's done. Please excuse me. And I just have to add, I have a question that I've been failing to ask staff. Colin, you know I've been pushing for 7th Street continuation of the sidewalk for the high school kids. Can you prepare a report or a time for me, because we're getting into the school year and I really don't want these kids in jeopardy. I understand from the residents that live there, a lot of children travel that way. I appreciate all you've done with Myrtle and Canal, but this is the last part of that segment that would keep children safe getting to school. And Chief, I have a question, just a quick yes or no. You don't have to get up. I wonder, our homeless problem, I really appreciate all you've done working with Khaled, working with Commissioner Randy on the issue. We may have some things to work with. I was wondering though, do you think a city of our size, yes or no, would benefit from a social worker that would be employed as possibly part of the police department? Someone that would go along with or travel separately with another worker. And this would not certainly take funds away from police. You might prefer a police officer, but do you think it would be efficacious to have a social worker go out and reach out to the homeless people in our city? Thanks, Chief.
Solve homelessness with a yes or no question. I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yes, homeless, no homeless.
Do I think that a social worker would be beneficial? Absolutely. This is a social issue, as I've explained many times before. We want to have a role in this, but we don't want to be the lead dog in this because it's not a crime to be homeless. The tools that the city attorney and I are proposing that you're going to vote on second reading next time, those are just pieces of the puzzle. So without some type of social support structure, I think that it won't be as effective.
Okay. Thanks for all you've done, Chief, and thanks
Yes.
to Khaled for working on that big problem. Hopefully we can solve it in the next budget, or hopefully as soon as we can. I know our money's tight, but I know that larger cities are doing it with a lot of success, so if it works here, that would, and the chief supports it, I would support it as well. Maybe we could have further discussions down the road. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner McGurk.
As I sit in this room, I marvel at what was accomplished. When we first took this on, I said, I support it and love the project as long as we do it the right way. It's going to be a labor of love, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and it needs to stand the test of time. And I sit here and I am absolutely thrilled at how this came out. I actually am shocked that it has come out this well. I have to thank all the staff, past and present, that made this happen. This building looks fantastic, not only inside, but outside. And I really struggled with trying to see that vision myself. I have nothing but immense pleasure and gratefulness for the staff that have allowed this building to come out the way it has. Thank you very much. And Michelle's not here, Nancy's not here. There's a lot of people who were involved in making this happen. This commission, the former commission, I'm just tickled to death that we all accomplished such a great task. Mayor, I think what you did for Hathaway was great. I think that that was very gracious and very touching. And I thank you for that. And excellent job. The gavel, great touch. Thank you. That's all I had.
Mr. Harmon.
So, last Saturday, I attended the backpack handout at the Babe James Center. For those of you that weren't there, Officer Washington had his entire family there. I mean, from grandma all the way down to the new baby. And, you know, it was quite amazing, and they were all involved in it, and they were all very supportive. And Mr. Tu, I think, kind of organized all that, or kind of assisted with that. There was a great amount, there was a lot of backpacks, there was a lot of school supplies, there were a lot of other things there that the community came together, and some of the local vendors donated the backpacks. So, I mean, it was a really, I wish there were more kids that would have showed up, but there are quite a few that getting their backpacks, getting ready for school year. And I was impressed with the way that it was handled, the staff there, but especially Officer Washington. I mean, to drag his entire family out there on a Saturday afternoon to hand out backpacks, it shows his commitment. And so I certainly do appreciate that. The other thing I have is coming up later in the city clerk's report is a committee report. I'm not comfortable with this. I think that we need to be consistent in what we're doing. So we've tasked all these committees to provide us with an annual report. And the first two were done during a presentation period, where they actually got to be up here at the beginning of the meeting, talked about their committee and what their goals were and where they were headed. And now we're tacking them on to the end of our meeting when there's nobody here but staff. I think that shows a disservice and is dishonest to the people who have committed the time, the energy, volunteered the hours to put into those committees, and they're placed at the end of the agenda. I think that's wrong and disrespectful to them. I would much rather prefer that going forward, and even offer these if they want to present their committee reports at a presentation at the beginning of the meeting when it truly shows our appreciation for what they're doing and how they're doing. So it's just disappointing to me that it happened the way it did, and I hope that we can correct that in the future. That's all.
I'm going to jump in real quick on that one because that's mea culpa. Here's the challenge there. Here's what I approached Kelly, and if I was out of turn, I apologize. I thought I brought it up at a meeting, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just talked to Kelly, and so that's on me if that's the case. What I noticed at the first two that we had was due to the intensity of the agenda, we were kind of rushing through those. And so they presented, but there was no thoughtful dialogue, which is kind of what I was hoping for. This doesn't get there either. So admittedly, you're absolutely correct. I don't know, though, that putting them back at the beginning of agendas is going to get us there either, because it didn't work the first two. We kind of said, thank you very much. They, said their piece. One of them was at the beginning of a meeting where we had an absolute packed house on some other issues on the agenda, which we never can know what that may be. And so, that presenter felt like they kind of needed to run through theirs, and then there was literally no dialogue. We just all nodded, and then they left. So I don't know where the happy medium is. Maybe there's a dedicated time when, we have a meeting that's kind of dedicated to hearing from the advisory committees, or, I don't know what that is, but I think you're right. I don't like this either, because we didn't even hear from them. So I agree with you. I'm open to feedback. Maybe it's something we can discuss, but I don't like this, but I also don't think what we were doing was working either and doing any service either. So that's the flip side of that coin, if you will. Because we literally, in both presentations, it was just a one-way, here it is, and then we just moved on, so.
But it gave them an opportunity to showcase their committee.
Yeah.
To talk about their committee.
Yeah.
In a public setting, in a public forum.
Fair point.
With a
Completely
large
agree.
group of people.
Yeah.
I mean, we afford the same thing to the developers who are coming in here, dragging PUDs in here and everything else. And so I just think it was a disservice to those committees that they're not given some kind of respect in a public forum in which
Completely
they
agree.
can,
And
put forth their committees.
Respectfully remind that literally it was, I was pushing for this to happen. So I definitely wanted to be given the respect it's due, because this was, this was something I was very adamant that we even start. So I definitely want to make sure it has the position it has. So did you have a comment on this, or?
I did. I had an idea for a compromise. I'd be happy to place those items, such as this, under the administrative items, since it's technically administrative tasks for those boards. That way, they wouldn't have to wait until the end of the meeting or present in the beginning.
So that's under 7A?
Yes.
Or maybe like and 7?
That's correct.
I mean, that seems like a decent fit for me, and that way we've kind of gotten through public participation, we've gotten through consent agenda. Does the commission have thoughts on that, just briefly? I don't want to bog down on it, but any other thoughts on that?
I think they should at least be offered the opportunity to present it and put it under Section 7 is a great idea.
Okay.
I would love to hear from them. Just one of the reports didn't solicit comments, so.
Yeah. Does that sound good to you, item 7? Any objection to putting it in 7? Okay. And if you would, to those that were on the agenda tonight, let's offer them at, I don't know how compact the next agenda is, but let's try to offer them for a future agenda. Maybe the next one or some future one, maybe we split it up depending on how tight it is.
Will do.
Commissioner Hartman, still your time.
No, I'm done, thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Colodi.
I think we should make that offer also to these two groups to see if they want to come and present.
That's what I meant. Yeah, these two
Okay.
that were on the agenda tonight,
Good.
let's offer them to come back, yeah.
Okay, of the million things that I can think of talking about, I boiled it down to 2.
Thank you.
But I could talk long on each.
No,
It's only,
no,
only before 9.
We are confident. You've proven your ability.
I've discussed this with Colin on any number of occasions, and he assures me that it's covered, except I have this feeling after reading all the information that comes from the state and the county and all this and that we're missing the opportunity on a lot of grants, simply because the people that look for the grants happen to be looking the other way at the time. I'll see in the economic news, I'll see one blurb, we have this much money, we're soliciting requests. If somebody misses that, that's gone. What I would like to see, I don't want to hire a full-time grants person. I would like to see in our job descriptions that function be dedicated to that person and let them look at grants people pay for themselves. 99% of the time they generate more in income to the city than their salaries. So I would just like to reconsider that and to look into if there's a solution for that. And the second thing is, as I was out on Canal Street, I happened to notice that where a couple of our trees have died off, it looks like they're going to be paving those spots over. And I think that's leading to a slow decline in the appearance of the street and the image that we're putting out. Granted, to replace one of those large trees with a tree of the same size is probably exorbitant in cost, and it might not live anyhow. but I would like to see vegetation put back in there in the way of a tree that somehow looks like those trees and maintains the appearance. Another example is a couple years ago, tractor trailer took out a street light, one of our nice decorative street lights down at the corner of Riverside and Flagler, and I'm sure we collected insurance on it, but we never replaced it. And that's just one more little piece gone. So I would like to see us pay a little more attention to that to try to maintain that appearance. Everybody knows what the street looks like. They love the pictures of it at Christmas time with the lights and everything. We've cut back on that a little bit. That I can see. The trees have got kind of large for that. I also had a specific complaint that when we have events on Canal Street, which we have a lot of events on Canal Street, there's not enough waste disposal things out there. And especially when we come up with a proposed new use that's probably going to have a lot of carry out, the business people are finding that the trash bins get filled up immediately with carry-out containers, and maybe when we have new restaurants come in that they are required to add to our containers out there. I know we pick them up, but sometimes our pickup schedules don't coincide with the garbage that piles up. We work hard in our business districts to keep them in the appearance of the city the way it is, and it's these little things that we just can't let slip by. That's my comments.
Okay. All right, I have 5 things. I'll be brief. To echo Commissioner McGurk's comments on this chamber, really the whole building, but I'm this has kind of been more of my focus. Extremely proud of the project, proud of what we accomplished, proud of how it was done. And I think you use these words, but I think this will stand the test of time. I think the design style, the aesthetic, et cetera, it was done in a timeless way. Maybe you change the paint eventually if we get tired of this color, but from a fundamental standpoint, was done in a way very thoughtful. I think staff and even the commission, I know each of us gave our input, but staff really deserves the lion's share of the credit for thinking of just as many little details as we can for things, and truly we didn't just move from one chamber to the other, but we really leveled up. I mean the IT, the cameras, the scanners, just a lot of things that we truly leveled up. Still opportunities, but really proud of it. And as someone who's been involved in a few little construction projects, there's almost, it's hard to appreciate how much goes in and how many little things. And I can't imagine the punch list, because this wasn't new construction is way easier than what we did here. I mean, it's like 10,000 times easier to just literally bulldoze it and start over than what we did here, because it brings so many things about, like, trying to get the columns and the sheetrock flush and the walls aren't quite square, and it's a nightmare. So really, truly hats off to Khalid, because all of it happened under his watch and guidance. And then, of course, Michelle, we know, took a lion's share of the kind of day-to-day, but we know there was a ton of other staff involved. And when I came by today, and there was, probably every department had a car out there, IT, maintenance ops, everyone was involved. So truly, to staff, hats off to you. I know in some ways the real work has begun. Brian, I think your team's moving Sunday, Monday, I heard. So you all will be, getting in the new offices, getting settled in. So I think staff deserves our patience as they transition. It will not be perfect right away. I built a new house. It's 5 years old now, and I still have punch list items I wish I could resolve, not on the builders, just stuff I want to go do. So anyway, thanks to staff, thanks to Khalid, thanks to Michelle and the entire team. And I think this is something we can be proud of, and that will serve future commissions well. I wanted to be clear in case there was any confusion or whatever earlier. So this gavel and then this base that was made as well is also made from lumber that was heading for the dumpster, by the way, that we salvaged from this very chamber, and no city funds were used. I paid for the getting this done. So we have this, my vision is this will stay here with this chamber, and all future commissions will use this that, you know, has that story and tie back into the chamber. And then also that we gave to Mayor Hathaway. Again, no city funds were used. It was a passion project of mine, and Michelle actually helped a lot with finding the right pieces of wood, et cetera, and literally pulled them out of dumpsters. So just wanted to be clear on that and how that had gone down. And I'm proud of it. I think it's a really cool touch. And trying to figure out what I want to put something on the bottom of this or somewhere here, but I haven't figured out yet what I want it to say.
Your face.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right here.
No, I thought everyone for the
Exactly.
rest of history.
Yeah,
gets
for the rest of
a
history smacks. Yeah. So, all right. On to some other things. Colin, I sent you an email on this. You may have actually even replied. If I missed it, I apologize, but I just wanted to ping you again and make sure the rest of the commission, if they had heard, know that we were working on it. I got some emails and people reaching out from Coastal Woods. We had what kind of felt like a random enforcement event, which to me are the worst kind, because it's like, hey, it hasn't, we haven't been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years, and then all of a sudden seems like we changed the rules midstream. So do you have anything you want to share on that? Or if not, you can update us offline. I don't want to put you on the,
Yes,
I didn't
Mayor.
tell you I was going to bring that up.
We have received so many complaints earlier through Commissioner Hartman and through some emails and phone calls regarding the parking in Coastal Woods.
Okay.
They're not leaving 8 foot a clear traffic path on the road. So we gave some warnings. I also have asked the fire chief to take the fire truck out there at night when the cars are parked on both sides, just to
Okay.
see if it's
Yeah.
passable.
Yeah.
I have not heard back from him. I think he took the truck out there. I'm not sure if the chief have heard back from him or not. So I'm just waiting for him to give us that report. We also want to reach out to the HOA because they have complained, I think, to us and to Commissioner Hartman. We probably will have a public meeting at some point.
Okay.
Trying to just kind of explain the situation
Yeah.
because it got worse. So it looks like the issue is divided. Some people, they don't want the parking, and obviously some people, they want to park there because the setbacks on these homes, some of them, they cannot get 2 cars in the driveway.
And that was
or
what
if
I
they
heard
have
from-
more than 2 cars, so they obviously,
Yeah.
one guy, the one who wrote the email, had 5 cars.
Yeah.
So,
And that was what I heard. Of course, I didn't hear from any of the complaints ahead of time. So, and of course, you and I can't talk. So it sounds like you had heard from a bunch of people. So this was a proactive measure, probably the right thing. But then once the warnings hit, then I started getting emails, and maybe some of you all did as well. I didn't see you copied. All right, well, what I will do then is now I have the full story. We all do if we're contacted. I do think if we're going to do this, we probably should, via the HOA, let them help push the messaging out and explain why this is a public safety issue, fire trucks, et cetera. So I don't want it to just kind of happen and nobody understands why it's happening, because that's what it felt like from the people that I heard from. Was they're like, look, we've been doing this for 4 years or however long, and all of a sudden you want to change it. That doesn't make any sense to us. Could go away.
All they need to do is listen to a meeting and they hear me complaining about the development. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
I did get some calls of people happy that happened. So it really is.
This is gonna be a good one.
Right.
All right.
And the issue was, we've heard from Joe for years about Venetian Bay and
Yeah.
down there. And so then I got a couple more complaints about Coastal Woods. So, I asked Colin and the chief to just take a look at it. They sent people out there and they found what they found. But then they started throwing other neighborhoods under the bus.
Yeah.
They said, what about Isles of Sugar?
Yeah.
What about Sable Point? You're here, but you're not there. So it's kind of steamrolled into that.
Yeah.
You can't do one without the other. So I recently reached out to a member of the HOA and said, look, our issue is not you parking on the street. Our issue is when you park across from each other and you've left less than 8 feet of clearance so that we can't get emergency vehicles. Be happy to come out and talk to the HOA about it. you know.
And so maybe we just say, look, we've got to pick a side of the road, east side, west side, whatever it is, and we just say, this is the side you park on. If you live on the other side, you park here and you walk over, and, you know.
And Chief and I talked, we don't want to be involved, we'd rather have the HOA
Yeah, for sure.
enforce this.
Yeah.
And be the person to say, hey, you're going to park on, even days you park on this side, odd days,
Something,
and/or
yeah.
just don't park.
That's pretty common in bigger cities. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Switch
sides? Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I know, it seems like a nightmare, but I've heard of it, yeah.
yeah. So, you know, it was one or two complaints, and then they started throwing each other in the bus, and it kind of snowballed, and so.
I don't know.
It's a work in progress.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll come to a resolve in the next month or so. And,
Okay.
But, you know.
Until then, I'm just going to give him your number.
That's fine with me.
I think we should call Glenn Storch and have him part of this discussion.
Yeah. So two other things real quick. This one may seem a bit random, as it truly is. I just keep forgetting to bring it up. And I've probably even voted in favor of some stuff in the past. Every time I see the thing about the food trucks at the Brandon Center, I love the concept. I do. I like the concept of the food trucks at the Brandon Center. But I always hear from a few people, and I feel like we probably would hear from more, but they feel like it's deaf ears of, you know, let's say we bring an ice cream food truck to the Brandon Center. My local ice cream store goes, hey, why are you enticing someone to come and draw business away from the local mom and pop, you know, restaurants and purveyors here? Now, granted, most of them don't operate food trucks, so it's not like they're going to be able to run their, you know, we can get them to come there. So I've struggled a bit with, all right, is this something good that brings the community out to Canal Street and benefits us overall as a city, or are we taking money out of our local business and entrepreneur pockets? I'm not decided. I just want, so we're not, this isn't for discussion. I'm not asking for action. I just wanted to say, I've struggled with that a little bit. So the next time it comes across our agenda, I think we approve those, right? They come to us for a permit, or do they not? Or do you know if they come to us or no?
The Brandon Center is a special event, so food trucks are allowed under any special event, or your farmers markets, or there's in the industrial zoning district on private property. Those are the only places you allow.
So I'm saying,
food trucks.
for that monthly event that happens at the Brandon Center, do we approve it like once a year, or do we just not approve it at all? It's just under the Brandon Center, or how does that, does it ever come to us? I don't remember.
I think at some point it was once a year, but it looks like it's probably coming more. So I'll double check with David just to see where they're at exactly with it. But
If you can just let me know if it's gonna come back to us for approval at some point, I'll have the discussion then. If it's not, then I'll ask the commission to support, you know, if we want, maybe it only bothers me, I don't know, but it's just something that's been on my mind.
Mr. Mayor?
If you want to discuss it, I can give you my opinion.
I'd love to hear it, just briefly. I don't want to take all night, but just really briefly.
The air show, the first couple of years we had it, phenomenal business for me. We added food over time, tons and tons of food for vendors to collect fees. My benefit was very minimal. I advertised to promote it. I'd pay $500, $1,000 to the city for the pamphlet, and I actually lost money on it over the weekend. However, I did get an overall residual benefit as long as I didn't spend the advertising money. So the event itself would bring people in overall. So I think that there's a valid point to a certain extent. It brings people down and puts feet down there. What I have, my personal experience is, my family would go see the food trucks. The kids saw something they liked. We ended up in a restaurant.
Yeah.
For my wife and I wanted something else.
Okay. I don't want to create an issue where there isn't one, so, I mean, it's not
Gentlemen.
like the doors are being beaten down. Yes, sir.
You may not recall, I opposed I think it's Fifth Friday or the regular food truck event. I was at Live Oak and Third, and I see a train of food trucks coming into town. And I thought to myself, that's a loss of revenue for our restaurants. With a regular food truck venue, and we also saw photographs from that venue. I think it was on the city's Facebook. There were hardly any people there. So it's like, are we taking food out of the mouths of our local vendors by having this so regularly? What I did support when it came forward to us, have it a few times a year, but it's almost like once a month. Does that do our city any good? And do the people really want it and appreciate it? If it was tremendous, I would say yes, but it's like, I don't know, seems to take away from Canal Street.
All right.
So there is.
Just let me know when it's
talking
coming back
about.
to us. You and I can talk about it, and if it's not coming back, I may bring it back up, I may not, but you all know where I stand at least. And the last thing Commissioner Colodi brought up, and again, it's been on a long list somewhere, I just keep forgetting to mention. I agree with you on Canal Street. I think it's one of those assets that if we just kind of rest on our laurels, it's going to continue this kind of slow, there's entropy, right? And so it's just going to continue to kind of slowly, I think we have to stay actively engaged in Canal. And it's one of those where you drive it every day, and the only expression I know to use is it's kind of like you don't smell your own house, right? You become nose blind to it. So if you drive Canal every day, you kind of become blind. Like it has some great appeal, but if you really just walk it as if you've never walked that street and do it with a critical eye, like literally walk it to try to nitpick, you go, oh, we really do have some opportunity here. Like there's a lot of, mulching and weeding and there's some opportunity. So I would love this. I've talked to some other folks on the street over time, not one big thing because we don't have money because we didn't approve the millage, but over time, I'd love to see us take almost kind of block by block, take Canal Street and say, what can we do in this block to enhance it? And then just kind of move to the next one. One that I think, maybe I'm the only one that's noticed, but we have, I think, 2 crosswalks on all of Canal. It's supposed to be a pedestrian-friendly environment, and it is, unless you want to go across the street. And then you've got to walk all the way down to the Christmas park or like way at the other end. I mean, there's nothing in between. It's like a game of Frogger out there. So, I think some additions like that, looking at things like the planters. I was in downtown Cocoa and Cocoa Village type area, and it's a level above where we're at. And I would rather see us trending in that direction and have a vision and an aspiration to get that direction than we're paving over where there used to be a great palm tree. So I agree with my colleague on that. And again, not for action tonight, but just I want that on the radar of future plans somewhere along the way. So, and obviously funding is the big issue in all of it. So, all right, those are all my comments. We have next item up is City Manager Report. Khaled.
You have the reports before you, and it's self-explanatory. I just want to take a minute here and really to acknowledge Michelle. This project, when it started, as you mentioned, it's an existing building. It's not as easy as a new project. And I have to tell you, I've worked with project managers quite a bit in different levels. And the dedication that she has and the details that she gets into, she really looks at it like it's her own house. And that's really appreciated from the administration. There is nobody in this room that did not have a hand in this project, from the city attorney to the commission to the city clerk to the assistant city manager, the chief maintenance operation. There is nobody didn't have a hand in it, IT. So my appreciation to all the staff that got involved in it, whether it's at any level, and my hat off to Michelle. I think the architect put it really in place for me. When I saw him outside today, he said, I have never worked with a project manager who was more dedicated than Michelle. And he's been in the business for probably 40-something years. So that really sets what's in my mind. And I don't have anybody to prove it, but I now, this is coming from outside. As far as Canal Street, I have met with the Canal Street merchants last week. What I told them I would like to do, I guess at the budget to discuss, I wanted to do in phasing and maybe come up with the concept plan. And then if we have the money, then we could do whatever, whether it's a block, whether it's a side, a section. There are certain things we could do immediately. set up the pots at some of the corners, and also they want the rope lights that the squirrels does not eat them to be wrapped at the bottom of the trees. So they had questions about replacing some of these trees, which is Commissioner Colodi has brought up as well. The concern is the existing trees to match, they're expensive. If we put any oak trees, then we have a problem with the sidewalk. So we're trying to come up with some kind of plan in terms of replacement, but in the meantime, not to destroy the look of it. So we'll come up with a concept plan on Canal Street. The homelessness issue, I have some good news. I mentioned to you about the SMART program previously. We could use the First Step. However, First Step jumped and they said, if we need to use them, we have to be a member. So the state attorney's office, thanks to them, they scheduled a virtual call. The chief and I were on the call with the state attorney's office and the bridge in the land. I have confirmed with the manager from the neighborhood center, which they manage the bridge, that we are able to use it. So as soon as we have the second reading on these ordinances, I think the chief and the police officers, they'll have a tool in their toolbox to enforce some of these ordinances. Now, there are certain things that we probably cannot do as much as possible, but I know the chief and his staff will be up to the task, and I think you're going to see some improvement in that section there. The 7th Street sidewalk.
Real quick, are we still of the opinion, Carrie, this is kind of for you and Chief Biden, we still have the opinion that whole panhandling ordinance thing that we pursued for a bit and then said, look, we don't think that's going to help our problem. Are we still standing on that?
Unless Chief has a different opinion, I haven't seen panhandling as our issue.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't ban it citywide. You
Yeah.
have to allow it somewhere. We would need data to support, if you want it in certain areas, what are we seeing? What's
Right.
the impact?
I agree. I mean, I don't see, and I've had residents reach out and they're like, well, this is because Daytona and Port Orange did this and we need to pass the same thing they did. And I've explained, yes, you may be partially right in that their enhanced enforcement has pushed people our way. However, point me to the panhandlers. Like I can name 3 of them, one out by Walmart, one by Home Depot occasionally, but we don't really have this broad panhandling problem. So, all right, I just want to make sure we were still in agreement, not that we don't need to spend the money there. All right, go ahead.
The 7th Street sidewalk, we have a proposal from our consultant, Mead and Hunt, so it probably, if we can get it in the agenda, will be either on the 24th or the first meeting in September, and we'll be moving as quickly as possible on that one.
Thank you, Carl.
The workshop for the American Rescue Plan, I will work with Kerry tomorrow to set a workshop sometime probably in September, maybe in between the 2 meetings, unless if you wanted to have it before the meeting, as the mayor suggested during my briefings, like have it 5 and then start off with this hour and a half, and then if we need some more time, we could figure it out some other time.
So let's pause on that real quick and get the commission's consensus. So we could either have like a kind of full-blown workshop, couple hours, 3-4 hours maybe, on the American Rescue. My thought was, I don't know that I have enough. I don't know that I need that much time. I was thinking like a 5 o'clock before a commission meeting. We give initial input, initial priorities. I'm not saying that's the end-all be-all discussion, but I don't know that I want to try to schedule a whole full workshop. So that was my thought and what I suggested, but what are the commission's?
I agree completely with that.
All right,
5 o'clock, spend an hour, come back later.
Okay, everybody?
I agree with that. The only thing I'll caution is if we're gonna, maybe we back it up. We always seem to run a little bit of time to rush back.
So maybe
4:30 instead of 5, and that gives us enough to end.
I'd rather have a little more time, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but I
get dinner.
agree before a meeting is perfect.
Okay, so 4:30, I think, I'm seeing nods, so we'll shoot for like a 4:30 workshop before a meeting. Commissioner Hartman,
You're the 5 o'clock.
I know, I was about to say, he's the one that's always, the kids are about to go back to school,
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'll make them ride their bike. They can walk.
Can one of, Truman should be getting to drive, when's he driving?
He turns 13.
Oh, you got years, all right.
Yeah, he got a while.
I'll work with Kelly on the scheduling, either probably will be on the 20, whatever, the second meeting in September at 4:30. With that, if you have any, just one correction is in my CM reports. We did not have the meeting for the community diversity group. We were on the call, the chief and I, for about 20 minutes, and nobody joined us on the call. So just want to make sure, because when I do the report, I do it before the meeting. So just one correction for the CM report.
Any questions of the city manager on his report? Yeah, that we didn't cover? Seeing none. Next is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Have you heard anything on 10th Street? When they're going to open 10th Street?
What about
I can tell
it?
you from the school board.
Okay.
They're supposed to get it open before their materials haven't come in. So the school board is very hopeful that they're going to get it open by Monday, but that was the plan. If that's going to happen or not, we'll see.
It looks like it might, because they still have, I guess, another 5-6 days. So, Brian, you have anything to say?
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the city manager? All right. City clerk report, acknowledging that 13A and B we're going to invite to come back at a future time, so.
Yes, if the commission pleases, I can bring it back on the 24th. I just checked the agenda. We only have one item for administrative. That's the HR director going over the benefits plan.
Okay.
If you'd like me to include it, then I can.
I think we'll give you all some discretion. I know we may only have one on that, but if there's some heavy, a big development or some of the thing that's going to, take a lot of time, staff time, community time, y'all's discretion on that. We're trying to not be here till midnight every night. City attorney report.
No report.
Okay. If nothing further, meeting adjourned.